mfie adue no siani sabena me wo Berrien Springs, Michigan, and ekodi obi awarese na ebra ye free fie ho no he made a statement. If you have no say baakofo na ware a nke beka se nasem wa ye sure say nyina ni sa se we be ya adwene anamdo a se baakofo na ware a nke beka se nasem ye debe ewa because aware de pa nyame ye se enye ni gie enye koso enfa nhira asodue ahoto emripa na isansa bone aba wiase ntina ma enipa asetena mu awarefo titru entem no ya na yetanya challenges just nsema hudo bi a to da bi a ya na ma ebigia nkese senyame bi hya wale mu na ewie pe na nsema no mu no ya na bebre no free ya asetena mu atete sem nhyeso ahohiahia they kind of stresses stress ahodo a ankra no komu as a husband no me was stress ebi fra dwuma sem mu na busua sem bi kra na yare bi ha ase atete ndi saa ne mani nyina no na me dan na me yire so bi o so adwuma supervisor bi kra tete no okwa adwuma ma ontimi nya ni je fa nya adwuma nya no kwa ne maame ewo tibia bi ma en yare ha no na saa ne mani nyina no de by adwene mu se na me anga na etete so this atete ni ami ayo me se ya no minya kan me ma minya o na me monitor ha this is the na mu ha na se ka mo kra ani so na de na tu so na be ma o ha na ba mi unu na ni ye na ni ha ni laptop no way enti no the American point number one na senti ma ya setena mu nsɛmsɛm no saa challenges a ba ya setena mu how ni amane ya na ma ye me ye ho ya ne sɛ nka ware mu no ɛsɛsɛ etimi boa sɛ me ye na wo stress mu a ɛsɛ me timi boa no ɛnna sɛ me nso na mo stress mu a nka ɔno so timi boa no sɛ ye me no ye boa ye ho no ye timi akopo wo stress no any a friend of dyadic coping say ye boy ho ye timi afa atete sem na ekoso no emu nanso entimi masa entimi brother ni sem ko gina ncha ko mo ali atu so nje mu ha na ba ha gi timi fa wo la ko no ba ho okay iti dia ba ne se ba na sa ma ye nkita hodie no etimi muaye ho enhye ho bin sabe be ya okay all right so we go to car one the next we see how there then come you all right okay entino say ba no sa ye yo me say enyan susaso e san sa mi timi muame ye o timi muame ma ye timi and dealing with the stresses yeah you want and my just so ewo aware no ankase okay so ban sa na ekwani amefa so ne me yire dinkita ho ye kasa mu decision making ene niema ahodo bi a ye yo ye matete mu no na anya nsusuaso because me anu me watete ewo efiri oha ne amane mu de breme na sekoba se me onipa bi a me wo esubia ya na madwene ye me se biribi a me ye no eye perfect esese sia ni mu esese sisi so a mo say ebu bi no ya ti bibi e fra no OCD so ho yesi OCD na ye hwan a ye se abo aba ye mo me kakre eso de sere compulsive na OCD no obi a woni de o ye woni ma bi a ye ya na ahomeka pa na me ka kire Edmonton for no say me te sa kakra obia woni de na se me drive na me car na se me phone na me use for GPS na me de bo hold an so a chia kakra kra na mate no Chakra Martino. The wife say, I'm not the other sir. And once all the old was a phone one chair, was a passing your phone now here. What does that quite run moment now here? We hear. But here you know, be on a take a crack. But Sabro Swap, well, now could drew be a friend of self or ye perfectionistic. Just said, not the other say, Queen because a French me. French me, Uncle Sammy. And can you the bonio? Can you make crap a saying in an ye? Perfect. A war, ya brabo, ya sitsna, you get a who dear one boy. Now so French me, yana and yet ya may have beer. The Cobasso will be a French a one sitnam or ye perfectionistica. Naso or no one on the iron say, or no one should say, ya may be a busy any more pepe. And now me who can force me ba me yonko my juma yini so no bribia one me be nkita ho ne me die no e ben sisi ani mu pepe na eye ne se adesua boa me hu se enya nsusaso a enya nsusaso papa ndi ne yefra no negativity enya nsusaso papa ewo aware na ewu mu no enti yenhwe kakra me se enti sauka romantic perfectionism Yes, our Riemu and Angitahudiemu will be a perfecter. And you bet me, I can say, Obia, Susudia, one hair nipentimi fanya Juma, Emma, on one. In other words, no, was such a very unrealistic standards for himself. And me at the number one, me and Casamono, Mashishen Shabia. Somebody menantia Mrs. Michelle be a machiano. One say I can for crackers say Obi Obunhunya San for baby no she o gran crowds in the bay or manachi. So it sounds was a synonym of and you know qua Neman just away Quincan Yebisu a woman ya French miano or say Quincan Yebi rigidity. Utu na si ha wo hwe wo kasafa ha wo sra wo so sre no wa ba wa no dodo wo hrama wo say there be wano ayetetre dodo it is only sani pano tia wo giri se be se munimi ni nkomo kakra ebe de ho ebe de pa okay enti sana otie no de ya ne se ya no self talk bi anasa odwene niam bi ma no ho ebi ni se I am afraid of making mistakes in my dealings, decision making, communication, financial management, parenting, and all aspects of my relationship. Yana osrose obayam from swo ewo ninkuta hodim. Anya no nkwa friends self talk and as a thought processor or the year adwuma na me bobo so yi. And say me de meye bia decision bia me bia na ye. And imagine so no be feel say I make the best decisions. How would it be with you or for you to relate to that individual? And yeah, know what gonna say. Me say to deserve a relationship with me, so pesa woni minya nkitahodia. So fatamia. So and ye na esese susuye bia me wo no udru ho mahihye no udru ho. Emano ha gnepa antini e sana sa nipa no wote. Ese sa nipa no wote ne say oyobia oye extremely critical. Ono ankasa no bibi oye bia no opese sisi animu na oye frenchim. Obohu no opepana no bohu no hwehwe me okakra but ne fa bi no aye mannerisms. So no na ye won healthy mannerisms bia ya na emwa kra but perfectionist the end ofu say computer say begin hay was ordinary grimu say simple pepe ese table ya check akra so hwa say ke se hwa ha na otidam ha nyina no kenkan kan ya wo ha nyina se bohoyi a se amohoyi o se sesa nyama nyina paint ya wo ha yi ene efom ha yi e match ama o se sia wa hwa no ya bodam. And imagine someone is saying no and you see what critical self-evaluation said and high personal standards or expectation. Or no one can was sin is what was so dear beer. One here nipa you are in ye. And what the man of whom say, son of a bonny bra. You see, Sani Panon Bibia be ye kra kakra nanka ye kama. Wanu aduane na aye etija pa. Na emom ese nka efa ba bi ya hye ho. Enna ngusie tu kakra tu fa ho nti. Aduane no de nyina ngusie na ade be ase no. Our bathroom na bia we na wanka toilet seat na ntoso ono na dwene mu no mo so ono wa hye bi o say we use a toilet say we close to one nti na dwene mu no wo ye na wanka ntoso no wan clean hoye nti sa ne mani bi na ye ka na he nti near perfect is a failure sa ni pa no you see everything is either white or black ye nim finfini say when pass ya one pass when ruhu say nuane na nyada anya de kakra ma no say eye de 100% anase anya de kora pam hwemu da wo sa na sa nipa no otie sa nipa no say nothing pleases a perfectionist biribia be ye bia no enso nani esan say she said duru susu dua wo pe no ho a bibia maso na me ne obi kotan kakra ya branch ni nyini no Ghana na well na me late teens early young adult your training college na clinic dem hwa oba na ode nsa fa table no say what dia se infuturo bi e wo nsa no na kese yam dem hoye me senior enti mo sa Ghana de senior sam na agronim krawo obehomo se sa na e kanu obetitew pa enti senior se me clinic just oba hwehwe ho sa no de nsa fa table ye nsa sam so na de mawu so ade na mapepa pa nothing bibia enso sa ni nani anya no nkwa sa wote sa sa wodi keka sia ni mo se sa wo fom no a wode beche wana nti forgiveness is virtually non-existent in the relationships on netia sa wo yam fom so a baby o sa wodo na sie sensi ho baby sa wotia entia on fancho isanse wa nuru susudua wasusu ama ono sa ni no sa adwene ne esu no so they say it's considered as personality trait like introversion and extroversion or any other trait. One will say, yeah, na say oni pasu obi o ho a extroverted, obi o ho introverted. Sa na perfectionism so no. Yesusu mani pedi. One will say, ye tete he no. Sa na mani nyina ya adwuma. Me ya metaka me de say me extreme extroverted person. I can say look at so for now. And just will be me introverted person, me extrovert. And she said, introvertism. And just want to mean castle, but semino shenko modiasia, the ambassador, like a crabons my head, my break, my holding us. So, and she said, me qua sorry pon, pick through me minute as here. Go for church, I'm a break. Church as I we pan makoshe baby. Na say me recharge. It is any pano okọ badwam a na ho den santem. So mana obi so ye extroverted person. So okọ badwam a na ne ho ye ntene. Na ne gie. Nti say ni no so wo yire na na okunu no a. Ghana fo aye bia okọ ase. Wedding nyina wasese woni phone so. Washishi wabobo date go ho. Is of course I didn't buy, of course, na I am so anani. Ya was so near him, a bottom crowd with president. Him crowd me this. Don't for Yame crowd me this. Sani pano ne tono. So it is a one an etia, as a luna candy. Na halfway is on the side almost suno, a bribi say, or you'll be a woman. I did not quite chica crowd. Woman you'll be a chess on a tia. So a highly critical of self and others. Or no one casano, what he didn't know how she shall in his auntie. San or the man for us, said, I mean, Mrs. Shamaniamano. San so be at here. So, Musuon count, what in a car mount, what a Ukuno. So more calm, you know. Maybe a dano, oh, dear, now, far, maybe a kind now could change you, red, you look at baby and to Cabisifio. No one saw me come. If you send a radio, no, or tear NPR, you know, Mohadi. And this is you free home. What about them was to take no one TNPR? One more throw. Now, Faka, won't you radio media that? Not changing me radio. Or however, behind the public display is a low self-worth. But Sani no or yet tintin French me yeno. And it's tintin. On your beer. Just or gin hoodie. I'm Jomo Dawsa. And teachers all your signing in Anna ye. And near me, superficial, any penny, no yen hosa. Yana uni, dear friend of self-worth. And he said, Unyaku Kodro, Nana, no, yana piano cacrabia, just so, teaching us over another. Auntie, what was Okumiana? Sabasa, not the machine cacra. And Tibasa, what the Aniadin, I mean, Besamedim, what the Aniadin, the Shia, Sardian. They say, having unrealistic expectations. They say, Nisusudia, well, no, agony. Na wasa what the high jump as was a hungry emphasis. Safon Sano Mogini. Magnimona, I saw Guinea Timmy free swim, what the free cofa poles. And so a Guinea band with Timmy Hurisa. What free cacredi? Want to me free a high jump. Said the Huno, Debbie. They attempt to control situations and people. One more year, one more says soon. A year now, one more should be said. Semino Bianama as a summer quine. And a done is any pacrona coin. Come to Modaza. It is said, Senia, me pet me dian, said, yes, sinuano. Say, ensure a hot beverage. Now be a mamma. Send him a panon. So I never saw, and yet, it is a summer for sono, and I'm a shano, what to me, I'm a sa, mammy pepe. Yanon Quan, they say, Yana say, or results oriented. His or her goal, no, only on results. So we are the man and saying, you hear and say, Adia Adriania on and make sure say, if you have more. If you have more, no, here no change. Adriana, you are no idea. From your mother, Hosa. Memetesa, me, just a men pay fear hobon. Nancy men find ye me on a 2 year poor Musam. Say, Auntie, so no, if you have more, the best if you are having us. Inti mem panasa anti no mapa ho aka de say so won ho aduane na obetumi de cinnamon so agunsuom na boil it, right? It will take care of the smell. Ada na menyo no sa mom sa me hye ni pakro na me tell say wo wi a esa kwan bia be fa so apampan na frifia wo so pe agena ya che. The other kind of me no bom man ye sa. Okay. Inti sa ni pa no o ya ade a e kwan ya fa so duru ho no ntan hia no. Na mom awieye no ahia no pa. Pajomo da hosa. Me my example ni. Yam fa ne say if remember na eba and I say adwoa e kom de me. Wo no aduane kakra nsi. So, okay. And na adwoa ye so no aduane na. And na police ni bop and also obi bop no say mo ba no and me use the same analogy. Mo ba no atobo aba obi ka. Nti bra o tie ye no na hwa na ne ba atobo aba obi ka mfa ho prepare enko solve asem no odi mirika kwa abontene enna one wo mo ka say si afre police for kra obehwa police ni ani ni yensom wo ba no wase obi ka e ka ba nti sabre ni nyina no fa abre me hu a na me so me nam kwa mu a me ye de be me ba my friends say come to me right nti me bedru fie no me bowura mu a na me hwe say de ani ho no ha na mbufu aden utifia ha and now encouragement wadwofo me kwa adwuma saa utifia no aduane kakra kra ma me no wantimi an ntimi anwena hunu se wotifie no eden akos ta me beduru ha babjo mu da wo saa se nko bebusa se me sre wo no bi si ya na no me duru ya na no because the end result na me hwe se kwan bia niam akos wa no de nyame o na aduane na me pa die no en na ye me de hia me pa ana se washa brama wo se no nsia asase aduru ha ekwan bia befa so se wo ba wontimi fa no ko babysitter se wo ka se kwan so bia no enhia perfection se wa nuru ha ebreben ya no nsia pamcho mu da ho sa and this only pass I advance away or supervisor workman. And now say, oh yeah, oh yiri, ana wukunu no se akua kyena no nkron ne atia so dem ibi o fie sa no nkron ne atia so dem emfa ho se wopon adwuma ba ya na mo fie ho aye flooding ana mo hwe nsuo no nyina nti mo koda no na abo no onum ne no nkron no ehia no mo ha dia asem na no nti wo yan dan a wo soro no pa no na man kan che wo se be kwa soro no nkron they were nti make us a result oriented ya no kwa they have a fear of failure ya na osuro se obenya hwamodie ana abasem tuo e wo wono mo asete na saafo no so ne omo eya ne se ya na e very interesting say sense wo osuro se obenya hwamodie no ade a wontimi nye no otu hyada nka abadwene se so a perfectionist there can say yo sa na mboa nanso sa sui adesua boa me hu se wono mo obi se meye no ma faili die esa misuro hwamodie no ene amenyo metu ahyada sa akire na cheche no atete no ba afei na wa ono otie no wona ono wanya oha ne amane na saafo no do me yansa omo me say they are defensive to complaints and criticism womo mpakwa adubo sa one ne tie na ase kwasi ana ya kwaku mahwa hunu se uyo obi a uyo boafo yo obi a wodo modu pa na kakra bia mahunu nansan ne se eya na me ya mfomso a se me wosi kwan afa so ka no ya na no hye saafo no mutimi esan se na dwene mu no onyam mfomso mbadwo ho de ekoso no se na dwene mu onyam mfomso a ya da be ka kire ne se ekwan afa so ka sa kire wona nya de be enye ensie ne mu na che se obu na tan enti bana sa de odi hia ye ntokwasem tintintintin na wonu mu ano no wayiri mu bajo wan so meka no wona ba kire me se mensi nkasa na no abaye nkomo foforo a afei one wo edi na se osuro makan ne mo se osuro hwamodie enti no se odi hwam a na ne hometi ofiri se ni wiase nyina si esese basa na me say they withdraw and now he withdraws to hide perceived imperfection it sounds someone's makase ono ankasa no oni self worth me kana ne mu ho enti wo woni ma bi wonu mu anko yie papa but what the ani no na akata so enti ya na toda bia se obeye biribi na anko yie no ne wa wasuma yese hwan na otimi boss anko wa ha se yie se mentimi mo no pepepepe de ya ne no ayese nti bia na anko betimi abokakra de bedede wonim ana maka cha me ire se wo se woye sankuboni na se me de me bobra obi a onim boni ho so ho nti obi a perfectionist no sa na che de ani wona mo ha so America no hwan na be no frenchim dia ene obaye ama ate ho se akwa ne bo wonti minye ni yende ene ona nye watia da nti se ohunu no sa Emma unu kwa be fa so nipa ya tena me say say nipa no he applies high standard for partners ebere bia because am yes me also but me boa pa na masa asisu bio ene say so ni nipa tia ho nipa ho yi nya bone ama ye say na me kan ye center boat abu menim say mo ya abefo no mo nim center boat no me kan hu ha de kro center boat elder we no on se car no a ne center boat abu se ne anatie ya na achia sa za ne ana esa aye bisa nti ye kwa bon se esa ne to no pese ekwiba se yi bone ama ye nyina no ye center boat ya chiachia so nti se me ne wo no obi tia sa me to me boase se me ma no susu dua bi a ontimi ndro ho imagine se wakofa ohu ni ukunu efri una odi kan ba akwantu wakofa ukunu ba ukunu no kurenie no ote besiase wo ha na mabubiye mo fa jemi ho trogo kra no wana ne da ne trogo da bicycle wantwi bi da wudi be duru ha se ye kotoka na ka nkra wo bi o ese ohunu ka yika Eso unuka no sini so wa for mema o so meka no wa for mema ka bi mind you trouble kro no anya de be ya on hwi bi da enti ehia bre mo so meka no e bre ne nto boase how was it school sabi ebru sabi anya do bi kra from 4 no kra anya de be anwie bi enti when you from 4 you know imagine say chrome hard drivers ya kokenka ngoma what the kind right written test yes anya kano na fe na bema bia so ni ho a opese ni mudie eba fom na mchemu da osa na esan se me na me oba na mkofa oba yenti no na me siw so na me san perfectionist enti se so drive bema bia drive okrum ha eba na sa mo so now the one size fits all approach na ya adwuma say so say obema wait me ya e say mema nyina timi ya de be eyo eba nya adwuma sa emwa ema ni giamba this is anybody no he has poor coping skills to diatic stress support once na make us a diatic na ye say me wo ne mitimi ka bo mu me aboa ye ho no say anybody no ni sa hoden na otimi de if say ne de nko na ye de be eye wanyane de sa emwa ne na sa anybody no ti ade na me yo be kono de be sisi a na odo mu aba me say nsusaso be na enya ewo aware ananda mfuye ana adwuma ye na me pese ne edi discussing na no ubetimi apply no wadwuma relationships we must say they see aware mu tie ya na physically draining also no bitia na da bia oye kwan duboni o complaini we anya yie de obeye bia anso nani na meti no oka ho asem we otira wo se ana hwana ye otima wo na wonim tiri ya na wo sho dress ya no for this na bema pa no address say yi me dem fa ni machiu na so ya kon de dem be se be mo di machi de address kama da bia oni didi a nipa kro ya obi bia oni di wa no ye de dodo oda ya no wa jaja wo no tenten ho hwa no wada wo timi tenten no just man ya no mo so me kan no yes obi a wada de wonim katauto ana na wo se tenten ho jaja ho dodo chese de obeye bia no wo ho asem kan na eyesa etwe hodin nyina eko emotionally exhausting one can't you just say you feel your emotions the ya ne say bibia be ma wani agye bibia be ma wanya ahoto ma nkoso obi no atwini nyina afiri obi say wona na odi wona wo ba ne nchen bia na oyema ya de ben ahyo isan say wonim ne obeka afa ne obeye no say nipa no ed ne say obeya ade aso nani wodi afiri akoma mu nyina say papa yi da bia o si fie ha nyefe nna ni be clinic a check. I mean, a program of Boston University. Professor American book was see wounded emotions. Story not to me. Trust me, paraphrase kakra. Say me teaching be a fache me. And the oka story be was sa book no. Say akoda bi na wone ne papa tie. Oka perfectionism. Na akoda no da bia ne papa no. No hwansa akoda benya e wɔ ne grades. Inti akodai wo papa yi dinatam gimfo asia wafonya e no bibia ode ne result be ba no papa yi sini so ti ha akodai ana oyire no ho ana just wo sua de sa onya e to nya e no na otimirika wan sa akoda ne papa pese onya e wonya e no otimirika sa na de daddy because yes buy daddy what's in the report card and share the papa say pana hesa teacher ni no an ohu mo bo no ye osa won so me kan je say ni obeye bia na nya de be ya sonani e ba say hag ne pa they say perfectionist sees partners as not good enough obi a wote sa no se wona no wa aware mu a Brebia ubu abomfia. Just say it is layered with being contemptuous, contempt. And imtiabuo. Onfa onye hu. Isa say wonuru susu dua or no susu no. ma wo na wote aware bi mu sɛ ya yanom ɛho asɛm ka bɛyɛ dene unya ni gye fa de didi kan sɛ wo dwena wadwene mu da bia wadwene mu hyehyew wo die mu wabrɛ wo ya de nso nani wo mu sɛ wo sombo wo so ani udru nka wo mfata no so ho ɛna de to so na me kan sɛ animtiabuo da bia hwesa wo ne di nkomo ana mo fa adwene mo se ye kwa ye pese ye to dan ana ye ya japade bi na do adwene ba so ye nti adwene otimi de ba ye ni kan sem papa ni ahede wo kire ba to ho de me kan no sa statement ni bi etimi ba na nti adwo pa nti nyansa kakra wo benya so wa nya bi waka se akire bu anim tia se wo de no ya nipa kasa na ka bi na kesa wo no we are second class citizen anamboa asa wo nse nipa na obia wo no obeti na tesa yanom ekum relationship and one fair ni jemba that's why dismissive of partner's contribution to the well-being of the relationship your man now say you madwene ho say your man do mo ko Ghana na mo he if say your parents are your homework awie edru yes so na makankan na no cross say akoda no ni early years no and one new parent in Monday. And I also see I'm finding common mammy. Where the uncle so say me when you are some you can't buy. Wouldn't say Casam so to fear better echo against Kaba. You can't send ban alcohol we have it. We're very dismissive. What was going to ban with Piatun chain? And what many gemma. Rawi, may add this young and Crawford a add this young, most of my cotton and more baby. Or may add this young best in Nipa 175. Now there are no more going to say, or more share. One more say what perfectionist is no one more in Susasuenya or Mawarium and a boa what me boa mo se ba akoko atete se mu and then one is stressed out. How are they able to help each other? Into Romy said, Romy and Canada here 2019, no more sadism. Now, Omo farm no more yes, no more Caucasian. Na nani pano criteria ni bi ni say wadi wa ware at least 1 year no mo tas omo nyina and omo ye na qualitative analysis into omo interview omo kakra mo hia omo ye focus groups and omo san ye individuals omo ankra na akuakuo ye busabusa omo nsema no mo yi anu an to mo wi no mo tas ni nyina no boabo no ehu se eniema ba na ne namu a eya de kro free saa muaye nya won de make no won se we ka se se me ne me kunu atifie da bia wo hwehwe mfutu e wa ha na se nipa ba se wo ha aduoso no emu aduotwe emu wo ha aduonu na e ka saa na che se mu odupa anya saa so won nti boabo saa nsema ne nyina no na muaye ne kakra bi na me ka na he findings e bi ni se o say husbands hire other oriented perfectionism associated with wives' higher use of avoidance as coping strategy. Okunwa one ne yiretia da bia no hyese wo ye perfectionistic so that make kwinkanye any tintintintin ye no ne yireta de gine so ne se avoidance ya no mu da hosa wa hu so bia no ne tie na da bia wo siuso na wo ye we no ka wo ba na odwane anamboa okwa adwuma na ho ayere ben ato oba fie pe no anom itala no pie no ada kede de bia nti no mu use avoidance and omo no omo tie na no so asa ture hey me ba na odwane me kasa ho kwa mfi me na obi akasa ho da wo kritis why no pesa da ye bu na nimtia findings in business say wives hire and a man so no so no so ye perfectionism. The men no say a very interesting part. They use self-interest and conflict as coping strategy. What no kwani ye dia. Esa da bia me yiri me tia ha wo kasa me no ba we kasa wo mpra no so jo ka wo du kwa we gina ka ye nkiri sa. Wo driver e wo suro hey wo beku yan. E ka bi ba no ahunu. Nti yo ye ne say o ya no nso de tintin transem. Odwon no nkwan de onto da bia otu kwan a ante we dia mesam kwan ko ba me hwa de aba no agya no ho wo ye ba ko no ono nkwan de eni hia no Sanya Saswa, what the Basabasa in the Shiano. I am not Chachan. Ojawasem, crowd when he do. And Utifia Maningete. The Bia Unquana, Casanquana, Nimaditini. Ujuju. Utitinat. Now, money man. Ma who said Monfa, Ubia and Chrasia, my maid in Bectania Cobrofo. I had been on one at Tico. Okay. Anna, perfection, the answer, it affected perfectionism, affected couples dyadic coping with stress. So the mechanic more. Near your yana say, it's sense so additional no say. So bitch sa or you can try yet in tinty ya. Emma, woman to me, sham hobney. Sabako call how it be a woo neba me fee. Ama sikasamna ma ashemiso wache chase mu. I'm so going through a lot of stress. Me ho kan for no untimi muame. Untimi sheming crying. Untimi pejame. Nti na ma aware no ekofom. Enya no nko a. Nti ba no sa then what do you do? Me say ba no sa then me say we ye ebinie. And I say the edikana, don't take things personally. Enya niama ni nyina na aka sada obekris a mefa ni nyina ubekun ho mia wania say na baka pastor so on nkran na eti na rewa ube dan watwe ho afri nkran no nkran na say so nso etimi twetwe na namboa dinya ware na abeto atwe na mum bomoden asen nsem ni bi wo ha bebu ani aguso ka pastor e din ye mu bi no betuma program ho say ne chehei ye make kan you ani gina o wadwe se wunti abetuma yo sa abetuma you adwini se wunti but when man so wunti sana say kwan abefa so aboa wo ho so no obi o te sa ate a ebi ne say nya wani ase wonfa ne mani nyina say e me sana mtie personally ne sana kiro che sana se fa me ho e de maye ebi ana enye wo a no ono ani sinto e woni mu and will project it into you. I'm sure that was nipa no how and how no what they are show atade nti ama wo no waye obi a wo mro ye esan se susu di ode ama wo no wontimi obese wo dware etwapo wontimi nyo nti imfa no se wo mfom so a nti me say his or her criticism and the behavior is more about his or her value of self-worth and not so much about you. Or no one can say unu se odimu ofata. Into a shebri be as it's a facade. Oh, as a bubble bin was shemu. Into nyani na as or jimao. They say stand up for yourself. Say suno etimi at ekosro ekoye abusive. But you know esa what the inshaswo ehuna ebro ene niema emfata. Ebana sa me say stand for yourself. Do not allow him or her to dominate and invade your space. Esa wouldn't no timi kasa. Abotre no dum. Na me wo. Me yagma conference office. And in Campmeeting move so I shall move go baby. You conference office na you were review. Or one of the officers. Na do na hunu ntam se o nhyeso ho. Enti your one or the bar say you be set up a needy fund. Conference no crofort afrain say we dan abu we I say dey na mo de beboa. Nti yen certain needy fund bia ye de boa obi o de say hia de nua for the buy no san de sort to say ono no obehwe so na ye committee so ne ye ngene ne ma nti o de to o de ye ba no ano ana me busa say de edi kan e kwa ba ne be fa so agina asusu say we fata na we mfata terms ben and you be used to criteria ben you be determine say if it says will be an anama buo bet my conference in yeska And obi ane dance want me to arrange between a friend say we yes come boa uhiamwa enti Ghana de be susu say ye na muabuo no ane de ne dance apa no o nyina e pendiem wa o dey say nya terms bi. Number 2, why na me say mate say the other proposition na buy no wa ka say ono na be hweso na nyame de yen asi conference ya no say yenye stewards of the resources or the adom sa conference. Enti misro se nyame ma wo de no kuretua tutu so dudu wo musika ye de be hye baakofo nsa no no heso. Enti misusu se ye mpa committee. Enti sa owura no nko tro sa ne me. Esem so ba no de na no aka on tro ni nyina times. Na nipa kro no kra na wo qualify no empra hodo ase na ye be ma ne bie. So obegye na obetuma bagye boso me nsa bio. Ana na otwe bia be ma no mwa no ni nyina so twotworo won so obi a make us what say no on pese o push in the back it na no bofu nti ewie meeting na me come officer ya osame elder I like to talk to you and I'm so okay so ba me office on was say I don't know why you challenge me I'm say hey committee asame yo and I say the committee committee asame yo wo do there by adam some dem there by I me officer wa hasi minim dia make am na me photo sam for me discuss what conference in here and am say so wo ti ase so say dia me kan ya kra no say e dwene ho yi a e be bo ho ban if say won ko akra wo gina ho etu ana ma wo sika sam ho a emwa wo osia ba me feel say wa challenge me chesem say adwena me de ba anya no na mmom the fact say metimiti gina kakra ebusa question na ekuno into what is so until next time they are there ba nyawani asa on kan bi obadwam ho me ya santini bo kakra bi a ya me adom se metra ma Mississippi sa na me say di ha na me ka say stand for your right ha na di jam ko fa de me nyina fe na maduro de say enyanto kwa ti ha na ka say you know me wa ha say ha me we no me nim say wo ye me pani nanso ya toto hye wo bi adwumam enna ye nyina be hiem say outcomes an friend administrative committee no dia ye nyina kire ya e ho de na playing field na ya level ana a level playing field inti me saw say nya santi ase no se ba ho a na se e bopo a mekama dwene me kan ni de mo anye ma ho pese o ti ase say office ha no we no bibia nyame akwan betimi aya aboa ma wo wadwuma akoso no meyo na mo so be saw say wo so bo a me ana hunu say ye wo hye e wo bia adwuma yim ndi ba bia me so betimi aboa na me de akoso no wo so bo a me na se ye hwe ye gina bonteni ahwe conference ni nyina so de a ene na se ye nyina ya mmoa no ye say pegya nyame adwuma ma na koso na conference for no dwuma die nti adwenti om ne ye betena ha no ye ya ma won so aso omani iti ye me ya no wodi bi bere no de ko he na so makan kanetia wodi se sankrofo a me wi ase ya wore ho so no me kan se ma kuduru baby ma ne bra na nka dia ma no mfie na na nso ma committee kese wo conference no na botu yini firi ho point am kan say obi otesa no ya atigina aware mu de esonko kakra so aware mu no bo se bia onyanto bo ase kwasi amwa me do pa o nim se me kunu nim se so do me o ma na ye bia me se ana open me yie me gidi se sa adwuma ya wo se menye no na otwe bia menye 16 hours ansa na me sika asie ni mu ani die mu a me gidi se bro so ma ho din timino me bese trance ni ebi hu nkomo no yesesen ani ba gye ho sa na sade esi ba me so no ya nhyeso kora amame ama me homete me tora bia me ba fia na me yam hyehye me nti mani ba gye ho se e be trance na ya di hu nkomo no ya toto no yie isan se don hwiri dunsia nenum na otwe bia de no kuri ni mintimenyo pamjo mu se bisika asem E boapa kan bibi na bia mo hu. Me taka bibi am fra no use I statements. Mo sa me ka man kasa wo me se me. E ya na me homete, ya na mabre. E dwene ho a madwene ne mfua. Se me ye adwuma do hwe dunsia. Ti no kure ni me mpese ye trase de nkomo. Mo sa pembe bebre no. Bebre ni me ta am na so kra. Bi me sa man ha se ente ba be se me de sie na de odi manim so nya bre. Ya na ma conclude say wo mission hono ketua bi mu no say yem bebre no ye sabe ebru sabe nya do ye nim nkomodie ne kasa wo nkita hodie mu papa nti ya na ye to mane ye tell you so use statements wan wo say obi an boafuo pa ko say wo to kasa wa fra ne me ana kasa fa me free kwaye bi mu na adba betra ha ba 16 hours ni nganye ye kra ne be sifia ha nganye bi ni wo kasa me bisro wo kasa wo de sa hia na de ne be sifia o mo ni be ba mo ho so no mo asesa afo aso so but the aware mu no wo pasa wo dwodwo ano na until you use statements ebra wo boni pa kro na baso na wo kan de papa wo de meyo no so ya de e de tene me kan ni mo me say wo do modu so tie pa sa kan se kwaku wo obi a me ho se wo gwene ye ho pa wo do modu oni kan busua ho na ne ma hu se adwena e ba se menya adwuma mo sa me dane no aye me se menya adwuma 16 hours na wo twe bia nanum no e ya de ama me gwene ho kra na me mete ama me yam hihime me ba na me bisuro esansa me nyini se ma ho odin betimi ayosa enti mani ba ge ho se ye bedi ho nkomo madana na be now I so ye I no a ene se adwodwobro na no pamhwemu da ho sa if so no obi kasa na say complain na wo ye you a epem no tse da wabɔ no twede so ho sa na de sua bo ami ate ase enti se wo ye you wo utifia ha na wo bu mi se me yakoa na wo nya hwe wo ye 16 hours ni bia e ho sa me na ware wo na me ma bibiri moto no na ware wo enti ehia pa say stand we say do not allow we say set clear boundaries ahana ya na we say help this individual to understand that you would not allow him to treat you any less than a human being deserving respect. Wom esas kwasi me krono adwo me yire no me do me bu ukre me pesi me ya me yobia me pesi ani gye e wo fia na nhyehyɛ sɛ meni kwan sɛ mefa me phone ebra wo nyina ho meni kwan sɛ mefra me maame ebra wo ni fia ha meni kwan sɛ me disika ba akɔma me wɔfa wɔn na hwɛ me school so ni fia ha no ya de ni ho nkɔmɔ mani ba gye ho sa ebi sɛ tete me hya me so kume enti saa nneɛma no deɛ ɛyɛ masɛdeɛ sɛ me maame ɔde me ba wiase no ɛsɛ me hwɛ no wo firi mu enti me pɛ sɛ ɛtena se yɛ di ho nkɔmɔ enti ɛhɔ no deɛ no kura nie san hyehyɛ sa mentimi fa sika nkɔ no deɛ no kura nie ebuo mu me kunu no me dɔ ɛbɛ ha me sɛ me de bɛyɛ adwuma wɔn wa so me ka no saa no me set boundary bi so na saa komodie be ba bra warefo no mienu fom sika mo ya no ye wa ha ho na ntoko anyina afri ase sika bomu dia sorry it is sika bomu a ya na ba ko so control ba ko but say eno so ntino na bebre no o se ne me we sika wa ha but nyame say and they shall be one. Oneness is not only a bodily BBC or me young people say body to body contact. And you have oneness no baby and the chance. Enti ebio as I say to me say I had there me nipa me wo phone. Enti me come phone yi so me srewa ni die ma. Phone. Say abeka nipa asetena. Me nam kwan so not just me nam kwan so kra no na oni ho a me ntimi hwe phone yi so ama. Me srew wadwo eno de me srewa ani die ma. Ne de be ya adwuma ni tiem so bana sa amwame me say emphasize on the fact that you are partners in the relationship, not a teacher and a student or a boss and a subordinate. Amen. Am someone to call papa As I say, a sisu diase kwasi adwe. And yet, teacher and student in a walk to town demo, a waffle. Any demo, adwa, me no, me do. Ah, na say, mint me fro be titi or your background, mint me fret. And then I get me, I'm a mint fro one more. Jendia Miss Rose, in Yantiasi, Yamiama, Yenim come over. Now, young fancy see be a boy me. Okay. You see, don't be reactive to all situations. Again, me can't. And any more what you know, copper say, don't take it personal. Yeah, but the beer, Bessie Biano, or Hana come not to trouble, not Chantiamu, I fear her, and yet the Bessie, and yet the Baba Tua, a banana was a son in Matthew. Are they? Ye yard of four. The last time I'm a checky and man were me town for. A warrior of four. Now the four cry from Swa. Can't be the first one. There is so. Yame say a form. Send the army. Just a member to feel. So, and she may say, understand that perfectionists are sensitive to criticism and tend to take things personally. Which says, a woman, calmly communicate how your partner, made you feel. Fakwabi so chile say. Kwajo ana ama akuya ukreni semenua aduane a ya na me de odo pa na noa o ya na me dwene ho se wo bedie no wani anche se menua aduane na mensa eburu kakra bi bi anchene na maku a ni amete ne masom no ya na hyehye masom no to ukreni ma me bisusu se brama aduane kram no ma bragu ensoni ese de me fata bi se mitimi no aduane kra ma no ya na ekume so and I can say to boss calmly for crime because use silence effectively by asking for a time out. You see, this allows you to later come to talk about the issue. For me, see, practice delayed response. Once happened, was a young granny. Asam shia which is a minty me shame hoso. One a bit too jago. Friends, can back because you are. Think I say back because you do. So, Mahubre. Name of me young father, be a wife of water and you want to Nusiana, and I'm a capa, and yet Mossy. Mobu for Monomonia de Baya. Munya bonnet, and also Mama or Ria and Yadabaya. And got to more before. And in Yahana, I've ever to the living room for 3 days. Now, we need a DNA for 3 days. There be. You see, forgiveness is not part of, you see, forgiveness is not part of relationship. Perfectionism, no say Bonifacio, who nyadi a can agree on time fine yagma now fine yagma cry. But what you say, then I'll be you. Me say, and I would do a hot make me something to me. Na man trying me. Agreement me say, one casano, fa Boniface is shian. Any part of Boniface. Boniface kunu. Because the last time I check in Bible, now baby count Proverbs. Was not good to know. Roman 4 say, Monsieur Jasramanya de Bear. Murafis as a mo. Was saying a bear. You saw Jasramangu on Modibe at TV. Now, what don't have between the others? Don't know. For no kuno. On one is in Tibray, the American ending Guntimino. A chassis and I know. They say the focus tends to be on the negative instead of the good. A baby brain one here or no, dear. The other say the uncle Yankwan or the Yagman. Bible say pride leads to disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Niame pesa me kan wo ha tia wane say sa esu aye perfectionism no e dwe honhom. Erade sakra yemfiri mu da. Na se dwe the erade says obi o ye dwe no ye do ye won say do kwanim go asiem. Bible say do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. say, Emfa atutupe, sa no kind of queen and amboa, Emfa atutupe, anya de ben. Anna say, Pesa me chere conceit no. Asie. Atutupe anya adwuma. And onyam hunu keke. Emfa atutupe ne onyam hunu keke, anya de ben. Antena se. Na emom die mumwa me ahobrase mu no. Dwene afoforo de ho hyen. Wowote nti saa foforo no ono kunu ono yire amen. It is a meme gine won sa wo gine ho a eye interesting ba se meme gine me yire ho ne de ho a chen me de no gine me de ho a chen ne de a anya de kro ya ye boa ye ho saa na Bible kan na wonya kwan a to aso kan saa text no wo kan akosi ba bi so uduru num na verse 5 no say na munya gine wo hwan mu Ewurade hwan Yesu Kristo mu Because Yesu gine ono nkwan de anko baba be waje tabi wo se ono na oye wo hene de ana me boa nanso otu ne ho mpan e be fa hwan akoa se bia to ne ho so na kire se Yesu Paul de oye ne se o ka se o now o kire na se mo nyina fofo de ono Yesu dwene kwakua mo a de ho nti na obetu ne ho mpan fa akoa te bia to ne ho so o mo aye sada Yesu yefanya adwuma Bible say, submitting to one another out of reverence in Christ. And pembe brain, na ni ano mema mo fanche mi o. Na hasa me no mo beko. Ya na mema ta kotu, the other one no, tax we so wo hwa. Anamboa. Ya mema no ya na wo se ni man ko ye no se na be devotion. If you so for say me anu mo nya de ben a. Na mo asema mo kunu. And so tax away if it's was say submitting to what? One out, another out of reverence. Was he yamra ya ho asenya de be? Diani ya huri ni call the other one. But so call the other one, don't forget the two songs was say. And ya mema nso munya de be ya. Munno mo yire musani ya Yesu ya de be ya. Ode no odo asafo no ode no ho ya de be ya. E mo do be na ka ba yira be huru ato ani mu se fam so. Okay. So Yesu love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. I just think eba compete obi mu a yemfa ebuo ne anidie na anya reben ya. Can you imagine what for some ye de odo be compete? Yanum ke fi obe sesa. Ebe transformed. Na afi ne de masem no nyina si nti de ka no nyina ni tia wa ne se obi a oye frenchimi ye ne tintintintin ye no sa wona ne chi nkita hodie mu a emfa asomdwie emfa nkoso emfa yeyo emma enunu wo ma kra ereho no kuranie emma wonyinya wonnom pemwe na kwan abafa so ahia ni pakro no se entase niam ni nyina se minti me papa me nse me mfata minimade ayo nyame amo me yie dabi to boase tira bia tigina kakra bi efo odo hia me se kwasi kwa me ya akua eye wodontia o enye se bia me nye ni panti masani pam bomba se nyame nkan ye hono mo aye o mai na se munti ase minim se minim mo mo ha ade no so ebra akwa tia mbaba ma kwasi mi ana iche ye mfansi ni mo mpaye. Okay. Oh sa okay ni ye gwem training ne se ye wo bre kakra enti so obi wo emwa asembisa ana se nkyerɛkyerɛ mu bi a mantimi ankyerɛkyerɛ ni yi a pani yeah. Okay.
Meet me never mismatch. My wife can do mismatch. I didn't think because I never be. To the story said, when you talk to the child, you have blue hat, blue hat. She said, okay, I take the story and say, I can do mismatch. Make sure you feel one all of a sudden, they are the young and the young 77. He said, Papa, so they need no time, no shows.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
But they say now make compromises small. What else can I do? Because also adapt to start to the extent say also from planning time and lay down to the core. I said so start it's your own say blended what else can we do? Now what I say practical for me.
Okay. You me that's pa. Na the wo yes say no. E de asomdwe ba. Mfa say kane no a na wo ye mismatch no. Na there na koso.
I said, and not normal.
What been no?
It takes me a long time.
Yeah. Minim say the American can say what next? Because next na wo your krom. Me gidi say na me need question no, but I think it's a very very good thing. Bia entiasia wo develop kakra ne say wo ye program no differently. So and our year so so program no differently. Na bosu ene yen ya unya ye nurture. Mo say on nature and nurture. So tani man nti ye ba bia yen no asori okoye suku okoye namfo ofaye agoro na omo die ni nyina e na aboa no amaye se ne ositie saa na won so wo di aboa wo but ye say wo ti ase kakra wo dey count de no say ya anye mu nyina afa mo identity is different into to allow a harmonious relationship no not just I'm going to compromise some of the near manwa ensi nyame asem ho kwan socks ensi nyame asem ho kwan okay nimso all the mfato ho now the ameta can say don't expend higher energy on minor things. Maybe I'm making sense. I say me the all can na me bi na me nya me ntimi nya nwie so me ma enra na me na me yiri dinku wo ye nurse ni nti hygiene sem hia no pa na toothpaste the toothpaste I example we go out tie me presentations if it's a toothpaste in tokwa ba manima na bia me sere me hunu ba ma go ne yira ba manim na mo toothpaste because was so for me no me start paste na me mia free to on ma hu ni aka dia be san makoto for fraba so and I was a pastor me yira so ko fa na no mia na spread it na fa why dia na basa enti me ti wa na me be say enti toothpaste nti na mo maybe mama wan do so for am afie mo say na can say the energy kakraka ayare be e ko toothpaste But to be so, can bet me accommodate each other, can't be to be and I'm betting for a quantum for Biswa and your bonnet. I say, I was talking to my wife about toothpaste, remember? Okay. Anna, the I say, and to me, Brama Maniama, because I met the OCD mobile, and toothpaste, no. You worry, Anna Muye, or no, two, no, mea, not for a hockacra. Miss Mintimi. It is here one say, for toothpaste, some family. Anyhow, where young cause of wedding cause of who you are. Anameboa. And it is a toothpaste, Mohammed, and just say, I know. And you quite idea, Soviet young Kohuda. But some of those are. And the toothpaste, no. I know me what ye owe me and Manyan to come here. You owe me a bob one on and eating me a spread, no, and you have a minimum. And I do also me enough for you, no, Pastor. Well, give me a hygienist, no, I can't say. Me, one not do me enough for you, or two cry on Manan Cricket. Radio Yamaboda. So I say, and the elder, me Giddy said, one say a gradual compromise now, Muyo. Now, our compromise, meaning in Anna Bonio. Compromise, business say, me to allow my partner to influence me. That's the meaning of it. Allowing the other person to influence me. The business say, a piano me a crime French and a kume. And me jamu kakra amane de bi aye adwuma no. Me ayo said the bigger picture ne say e ma sumdwe de be. Epa. It is your shana star to me mfa foforo nka wo de no ho. Isan say de wo ye na aye. Ye nto aso sa. But dem de aka ho an say the bigger picture ne say se me gugu mu kakra e ma sumdwe de be. E be fi obi say the asasa me tia ase me ba ne say we were raised differently, different environments. We attended different schools, different churches. The places where the playgrounds that we had. Some of us, we didn't have toy. You won't be TV and black and white. Me, oh, TV. Any papa sunlight, drive you if you're on a higher man. So, can you imagine? Now you share kotoko and a Zaire bobo. Yet you read your home. And yes, you were what in the track out and cocoa continent. Yeah, but so if you are my years or so, her color TV. And she different. And she manages all computer programs. One said, Sabaco program, we are about program where one more troll be a Mac program, maybe a no timid income, and yes, I back crashing. Yes, I know my own. Sana says a relationship. Where you're sunken. As I say, a mayor who come and may done it and crack. Now, near maybe a son continue didn't come more. I yank it Hudia and crash ye.
Extremely good. Attribute.
Yes.
I remember saying, it's me quite one my friend. My girl 30 minutes
Earlier.
To the extent he said, not almost the maker. Almost the maker time. The first time I record, the time will come to be a breakfast. Now they are driving.
Yeah.
Because
what they are showing. Oh yes.
Like
yes.
when it comes to eating time, especially.
Yeah.
Say your boss only be a minimum for them really be your back grana. At the point I make a mental part, and where their contribution. Mental part in the sense, one really a best say we day.
Yes.
Because my country will say, you will do it 30 minutes, and mentally, my country will say. She said, my pass when I sorry, I'll say 9:30. I'm through 9:35. Mentally, you know, I said, I go through some struggle. Say, I didn't think I'm going earlier than the time. Now, sorry, I am on time. My power mantra was if you are on time, you are late. My philosophy like, Obusman is our mental body. Ombra 7, was 6:40. After the about 10. Papa knows the boxer shorts. My minimum above rollers. About 7:05 birthday. about 8 years from small so or say me to I'm not going back. Sana when it comes to time me I want to be of life. But so one day is so that's our mental part. The concern I say for some papa. And a man time I will do a pass of 5 minutes. Of course I will now before so that time now.
One can't
you see it. It's a good mental what am I would give rest. You ever buy me say the 440. Above 441 I can't start. And they say at least you know but so we at that type now if you want to say watch your mental health.
Yes.
And also but one area unnecessarily. Way later now you are punishing yourself for being late.
Yes.
So may drive up with one and say I I'm not even going to be late. Some of the people late. Train to me, we are on cargo train to me. Even 20 minutes, actually 20 minutes, I'm still going to be late, like early. We want to more allow disabled. Why? The very first day I'm going, we run 9. We do 7:30. Then the lady told me, said, "Oh, who be that? So let's go to the HR department, get the alarm code. Just in case of banter, the next day we trigger alarm.
Okay.
If you put a pain and go machine, we put a book. Yes. I want to be a mental health.
That's about me. Said the other side, me fanka home. Me mitesa elder. Elder, tell me are relaxing. You good. Me yebi. Ukraine. A bre. Baby, me no be sign. I don't go by BPT on black people's time. Me find you. Me okasa nonso a e nonso. Oh, na de ya ne say. Nti ama wo mo me me san cha kakra ntra bia me didi wo mo. Ayi me ye obi wedding. So na wo nti ya na maka busa wo time be na me nuru ho. Nya time a wo de ba amamfo. If say bebre no, ye bebre no ya say e be ya de no 2 nti yanka say 11. Yes I na no. Nti me wo a me upasa be yo wa me ka say me amwa time be na me nuru ho. Enya time abasa obi andro bi say me betena ho cha e ha me. Mako bi wa dia me nya nsore nkoe na we die no kwa ya na sada wo kana e hawo adwene chichi o pass why na o meti na try be to do yourself good egnesia then ene wo ho ni nkomo say it aka self talk na e relax wa no ni nkomo say after all no nipa from somewhere na me where did be 2 weeks ago e wura me busano Brebe was no me no. Anopa no me taxi no. Time was no me no. Nti 1:45 na me tell. Because me short time as I me tell. E bo no me na nipa me no na pie. Yet hot. If ya na me say na de ade a me mpe bi na di me. Ti say me relax. Na me kotana me kai. Na me tie adwuma. Yes, I'm trying to analyze it. I was a magnum side. Me analyzing him too much. Me take you no 9. Ne share adinas. And no cry just a pahu kakra. Chewrano no pachawa no say. So see. Near me see. But the iron say, so me no be here individual counselor. We were high number I don't know. How many brony be 7 year counseling? O mama no num. Okay. Enna me ka no num no because no my so come crowd am ntisa no my me 15 minutes am free so e che no text me say ne car say ba na asem na ha me say the car say kwan so me ade a na me yeah me say oh me sorry na man down before but Ghana ni bi so e wo o man foforo so no so mama na bre wo ne kunu na me say virtually me ko tena ade na so one at the brand my most musas mammy, Miss Row, Tam Bang, and I'm Russell, or can't Tam Crumbs, okay. We are sure, say I. The man, Me kokwen ya don't free. Miss me 15 minutes now ma dia me jawa. Na me free so. No nsia na o say my bass o no man hu. I'm say time ben ya no so see I'm so sorry. Yem pebere foforo. Nti chora bia se se wo fa saa kwan so siesie. So na eba oyire ni kunu ntema ya na se wo gum kakra. Won say bi say e bia ye kan no say makasa to me pesa mo kasa. E bia ye kan no mo e sori anopa no ye se enura sori no nkro. Ono kro na na odware nkora no mienu. Ono kro na na ode breakfast seat table so. Ni nyina no magia abono so. Nso ma time. So ma dware me nkasa wo te saa o. Ma dware na me te na me gina kwana no na me de me na bo ho so ya. Kwan na ebre. Me na me bre. Ono so nkora ni ntina o ye late na. Nka me so no mu bi. Na me dware akora ni bie. Na me hohoro bi twitwiri bi se. Na me do mata de hye o mu a. Ka bia ba te bre no so. Nso me wie na ma hye ma fa mba no gina kwana no na me yese ya. E bra chen ho no na wo nyanye ready. I'm saying, sabi what happening? Okay.
Pastor, me say, me no dey tete me no, and I'm me be come as.
If I ask me can you so?
Okay. So school some me ada. Me te Ghana. Me te Ghana me school no, me go be there. Me mo me amere. Ma ni da. Me kata me ya na me boa. And I'm sure me defense na be ko defense. Me mo me hye ho akọ me say me be efiri mu wie. You know that me true say ya na say me bia na akọ tutu mo na say.
Come baby.
Come on say. Ala me dia ni kakra na jam ni e ayi na mtim baby. But for me kan, because me me go school cry na ma ko yie. Me mo me be pia ne na ya kakra. So ye ka say need dia. And yet, me get us with the country, Martha, and we wouldn't get us through my age. Because I must enter into me. Young Kaya to me, kind. Wouldn't my woman dear, and so open my guess as we I didn't go school with me. And I got me meditating on I am in charge, in the one, and Yama told me, swam me, coming back, listen. And I be some in the road today. Fine. I have my bedroom, I have a new better than I wasn't to become. I'm saying, Papa, we are. Me no want to for the past so many years. But for me, can't be that. What's one father from Casami who that was here? Now, yet, I mean, not to have a man as a main camper of Papa. And yes, I asked some family. So, because I didn't now, if you mean with Timono, and I say, it's a basement on a bit so. And I didn't know most of the most camper of one. And the true baby, I'm like, come on, look at the general. I'm saying, I'm so messing as I say. What's the main camera for?
To me, so me can't even him.
And to your kind of be a man, and just one over the Fago school. And I wouldn't be a baby, just a baby, remember, and do a school and a Jibuya. Fine, me share. I said, what do you mean was something to me and Cardian or not? Well, but then it's not for me, some shot system made and forcefully one of my head. Macanoti, about time listening to me. It is if you because I said, if you might have make a family, I was saying, one to now, we are best. I'm saying, and I may be here. And I may have a mission share that's the one who you will be at. To me, time at China, so the women to me get with you. Now, I am starting, I just also yet in it was your. Oh, it is not the woman, and say, I'm a good year, and you do baby. Not a titty, say, baby, I mean, to say, my kind of brand, additional water,
Yeah.
So, and the internet is all coming. And they also will now try. Nobody, a shaman now, I was also very wide and so much in the TV. First, I started to be who's the other Gina Casamo. And you know, I saw the Fabro Casamo, I mean, if you ever find that you say, when you say, and that would have been so many about the family. I am to ocean movie, not even when you ocean to me. Come to catch a mic and a brand, not some movie, no, no, And you guys are sure we are moving the marketing and I mean, and you guys are forcing our mobile from our economy, sharing India. And then stand for the book because the one I'm by. And just so, yeah.
Mama, I'm so yo. That's a pa. I. It means from a theory. It's my mouth, I'm saying. There be so, some say, did you echo a not saying, and I'm so going to say. Not just all one idea, Kakra.
And then you said, "Yeah, will be great in India." Or nobody in China, nobody in India, man said. So the couple of minutes in Prana, I mean, there was an amendment. Make time because all what I said, maybe can't do again to be become for us. And I'm saying, maybe come for us. I don't know, and that's it. Maybe the other say, at the media for your one.
Mama, Radinumi and I'm say, I'm say, what can I say? Ya no, I'm say, ya this yano, ya can near Macacrabi FM. Say, Yentimin Tinaha and can't send your Ukunutie and answer the war crowd here. In the way that matter say, a quantity be said, and sending in an and your mouth was a 1 yard. Some can be bisa. I'm going to say, be also so as a sewing about tray. Now, day into Boisiano. If the beer now, Yamfana says, Sana Metie, my Yosana camel. On to be a minim, when I may fast so crano a boa. Now, as I said, we yam to Boissier. Now, Boamicacra. Be a boamen, Tiassi, the fabric. Now, yet also be also say, Yampan Sabicrana, Miss Missinto. Most of my cancer be can be for Mose. A total be any background so bit which again means to say, meaning, Yana Usro Hamudi. So, the Yampan said, be a man, I'm a tessa, I'm not here. Say, send a brofona and go ye the any and can. Well, the Agosto. It's all back candy any and then for the year. Enti ba magini je se the wo kan no am se hu se how pebre na ne hu minim de bebre na nya nkonti no on se asem wo so a ye kase mu aye boko e ba brase isanka de be eni bre enti bomba se nya memmo ase ye se de ye suan no won so ba boa no se bia na ono no wo niam bia me yire boa me pa. They say make the queen abrofo anka ba bia man kana anko yi pon ya ma fa kwan bi so no kan kasa o ni man hwane sa in the next time they be kan. Nti me gidi say what kan ya no nti yam fa be kakra bia me be kan ho. Amen. Anyway. Brother Ben, o ma me san ya bom pa ye hira so. Perfectionism, yes.
Is there a positive side of that? Your culture, we did say one imagine and cause perfectionism. Most times, no, or more. Lead to laziness, right? I did also me and ye bibi no. Also do it pedodo. Say your grade say like I would love it and a bit discuss it and so because I went through the who because yeah a bit to me every more, lazy attitude. Because idea also now we hear many we pay no. One here I can say me say na me tie. Me to me nyama na nye pepe said near or circle. Now you don't even try. And if you have slides or like who will be about the positive side as well, or the blend they can want me who say ebe boa me for instance, but
I'm say yen say se bibi ye peye e nyamesu so sasa peye perfectionism I mean perfect so e nyamesu enya adebone se me ya ade woni kwan so na afata na SP no e ya ade papa se bia me fa se me suit sa ana me was orientation no me can say orientation na ana trait no kra as a summit to me boss say once I said me o kan me e betimi I encourage laziness but I don't so say every instance bia man assert ana man masa peye na anya adwuma no na me enable perfect laziness there be. What if say I am going to get 100%, but I'm going to gradually nurture the relationship. So me boss say pay you at the power say ya de ya e see ye enti ye mia ya nia say e continue so and answer a work in progress yem fancy ani so ya brabo yimu nyame be boye na ye kwa animu kakra na nyame na dum no onhia ye na nkwa ye pe and they are ideal so until there's positive side to that dia ye kan wa say yes me dey show bie ana me dey sha me ho a emma me nkoso no na no ta di awarefo bebrenya tam dia fa until what kind no me you know what prepare the positive role of now no nkyira sɛ ɛnsa sɛ meyere me ho mmɔden asa mehwehwɛ pɛɛ me no yɛ adwene paa na sɛ sɛ ɛno no yɛ driving force a nka yɛde yɛ adwuma okay yɛde yɛ adwuma yi a me a mewɔ saa so no sɛ meboa me ho kani sɛ ɛko yɛ anaa kwaku nokura ne yɛ abrabɔ ɛsisi soɔ deɛ ɛsɔ meba or a commercial aviation or Andrews University. Now, they come and free no honor say. In piloting, don't mean from Ampa. If it's a video, no, as in Zavium, so what to Ampa? Cars, yeah, from Anambua. Now, video where a Trumpa who are better than Baba. Intimacy free no. Me Andrews University ko yeb na de bi na o bewie no say dad can I need to go and fly me sro to me to share that ko say last day ade be chan ko say dad you going tomorrow are you coming today say na dia ayire me to share that je sem kro na corner and see for me. But idea me free one say as a set if you say idea would name from him and from so much about here but correction error no threshold of error they say yes any a group a year no a cost war oh, okay. Okay, that's it.
I just want you to elaborate a bit on the point you made about using silence as a time out. somebody wrote a book. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And they said that men, when there's an issue, they want to go to their cave and cool down. Women from Venus, they will follow you into the cave rather than letting you go. So can you elaborate on how you can use silence, yes, as a timeout?
Yeah, Bigiri said a silence not may cannot get silence forever. Name time me de respond. Intina me can delayed response as also. Toda bia sa asem si na animu no me yi anu a se mi ankasa me butu a etimi enya nsusuaso wo akoma me di yi anu nti bana sa ya na toda bia hia se me to me bo ase esan se titru relationship bia no ye bompa ye se biribisia ana abre bia no Proverbs why be the marry was say finishing is better than the starting. Say the besia bia na guta ho bia say ye wie mu no na ye ni gye ye gwene say e be kɔ asomhwe mu enti say silence no ye e bia enva no say nka me ma nsusu mfato mu bi na me wo situation bi mu na asafo ma bi ne me nya nsawoso kakra na kire say me hunu say wo mo botu na so mo ni ntiase na owura bi ye fra no Peter Gomes no ye dean of the School of Divinity or Harvard University or throw book be or say understanding the good book really know about the Bible na o kan asem bi wo mu na asem we si ye no me kai o say atola bi asa woni ni panya asem e wo situation bi mu a na sa wo nkrofo a wo mo no etawachi na wo nkrofo a wo mo empewasema atola bi a enka hwe use silence na ne nkyere mo de ma ne se wo se de ntia sa use silence ne se wo no mo a empewasema nkyeremu bia wo de be ma no wo mfa nya adwuma wo mbe bi kura wo mu no ma sa de attack nti atola bi a wo kyeremu no amwa wo ena wo mo tawachi no so wo mo hia wo nkyeremu wo mo tawachi no mo ho de oka no wo mo tawachi nti a situation like that no just keep quiet, let it play like that. And to me who situation cause na me kai Peter Gomes asem and na me hwedi na wo mo bo me kwan du sofo anye sei na me hwedi na me gwene the bigger picture asafo no nya me dia so for nyema sore no at the end of the day dabi beba mekọ asafo maso de se nya adwuma sema wo mo dia na wo mo dia de na duru se wo mbe so wo mo start ntichemu so and to allow se asumdwe beba no me yedi nti hwana na pepa bi da manim no wade bi a me de bo awarefo for the conflict resolution. Now you do be able to say what your wants, your need, your desire. Now me draw. I didn't a circle, a friend awareness wheel. With me Google. We use it for even intervention in corporations. And I'm thinking, baby, I see desire and want to make sure say nothing. Into one more casa, no more casa, so for way to be a one co school or promo school qua. You find your who. My if I'm not throwing safre, I saw for to mercy. I'm a better. To when I referee, to me, you are Casa, we are not say. So far, my will be bigger. Mr. Debbie. A number of Debbie, then there's one in one. Come on, yeah, so far, my will be bigger, Mr. Pastor Debbie. The Mfana said, you're kind of no correct. Yeah. Okay, now so far to me, see, no, Chuman cracker. We for a feed you could try Janaba, see big gem. You are no master sanku, Yakura, who go with you and come so much chassis to a moon. kutu agina bae de no ya gina ho say yeah sorry yeah sorry it be the major say if timing be very important when we use silence and say idea say be am fa so ma me use Bible passages too principle woman am here Proverbs 26 verse 4 or say do not respond to the fool or else you'll be like him. Do not respond to the fool in his folly. That's how no canon. Or see emua okwasia ewo na gimisem so na wanye so no. So but Solomon, I mean, Sanaya ni agama say why would he do that? The next very verse no. Or see bua okwasia wa na gimisem ho no wa mu no ho nyansafo. Also, but the other one, no, the emphasis is on me. Say, one shall make your son, no, my Jim for. And the second one, the emphasis is on no. Say, and some man who said, when you yansa, or say, fear me, fee nuntino, when you yansa. Then that's the time, and no crime you soon say, is it appropriate now? I'm looking at na setena mu nsam nkoyi ne ati Rosedale here asisie na ono no yire wa ha na nti edan ka no school no je no wa chama me ne ye nua ba kon so tifie ho a ye ne etua we tua chese ya dan na ka na se wo ntua bi na menim na fe di DSM mu na me yire wo Toronto na yonko ba ko so ni yiri ha o so me yiri no aduane ma nyina wa giesika enti me akire ya bada to bada ho no so se me nua ya hwa no a be mfie me no etua na kan nyina enti wo mu ana da ko ba administration be no na wa se ha be finance ho no na mebu sa se Rosedale na yesen na doc na dan bi o mfie mo bo agu ho so yesen na e bi won temo ha no mo ka bo ni nyina che no say akwai ya ne ya hwe no enti me won say manya botra ko ma won say sisi bi ko mba na me ni evidence ti me ko fie na me fei birbi bai ana o se me na say me ko ntompo kira bai ti ho na me ni chance na me se hwe ahwe say senior winning a big hona can I say no who say I say I said my Jimmy the entire mean fee and Yamia is some hunting na ya me grinning the beast you say well why am I the papping and so the akoso ya no I am say I said me nim yansa my Jimmy mintiminyo na mbesa pa ho ntuma je ma hu ne yakoso nyina efi na ekuri no danka no ye me ya me pe baby and me apply the second one verse 5 Proverbs 26:5 osi bua okwasea e wana dey so na gimisem so na wo panye so na santi ya na doctor me kasa na wa krabatem na mbesa me bua mu pa me baba mu kakra se some principles we nyame anim then you don't need to respond. Don't respond. Yes. Bebre no anyere ben. So, was it mon kan to so na me de ben. Nti bebre won say once been one born so tro. Matthew 26 says so baby. No say smile bone no. Di bone no ho adanse. Amenya ya na bom sa. Enso di aka nyina no se Bible so kire se odwan ya woni di be. Nti kire se the dog menim se maboa and sa na me tia silence. Say e woni bre ene bia time and place. So siemfa na se me okrom ya ma me single se me time so ndum yenu no mo content. Me okrom me yakwa asore me kunu aye biribi ankoyi. Na wa crashing free we use ababoa person at the end of the day, Uncle Ukraine, yes, and the doctors are not make the penny said, you should delay the response and silence for the sake of peace. Amen. You were beautiful.
First of all, if I show me one doctor's as a man of can sometimes maybe I will move what it, but in the future maybe I will say then come here and for one. Maybe I will my victim and all and I think that's so much every that is true. My independent because the personal point, the man is born now, my age, and driving. Maybe I'm independent because so I don't know any question. I have got to pen. You pen on the uncle. Let's make us out. It is my independent. A people, a Tadayana, if he's a memory, I about who, yeah, about wow, so we are not using a school because my money and I'm in pain. You call 1 week back, then I'm school. I quit. In copy. Was so poor. So I gave him my own name and yeah, school on the one I was saying, I said, they got the glitch. And see, first class, and I said, teacher said, school will be giant. And what's the other thing? Yes, and you and see first year scar me oh yeah, then it's you know money doctors sometimes you have to but also now we have be a wow and I did not make a shame and says away now with drama we because we bet ya when I was America and I never again Nigeria movie I didn't know say yeah okay and that's what you see but what the yeah they are really serious face. And my man was yes, who I am mobile pastor, mobile catch man. If you cry, you know, all I know is that you weakness, no. But I have never saw the catch the name one. A betting young one and cry. And a man also know, they make a look at one so put we hear back or which me for can be seen here, that one has a means no. Was it a son, a little power? No, I say, what make it all. Between a chair and a giant. Now, the guy said, Mamma, said, make color. So, when you come from, they will teach me. Well, was it? Now, no, school, also, who has so much ready. You have it to from a natural self, and say, no, you are done. Oh, yeah, and the answer so. No, but one can be mad, I teach them money. So, but for so now we be sometimes the young and young who share, but we be about to say, because of me at 3 hours, not in mine. Or the car, bet my God, it's my
That's a bad. You can't be a man can say. Everyone by saying, yeah, Ukunkwa. adesua bebree aboa me ho sɛ mɛma te saa sɛ yɛkɔdi dwa a tena bi kora tena fie sese ade korɔ no a yɛkɔpɛ no nti ewura store hɔ no ankyea koraa ahwɛ ane ankyea wo biara ɛkɔfa ayɛ no ara no ne atua ka ne ne ɛkorɔ no enti sɛ yɛ a na me tatu maafo sɛ sɛdeɛ wokan no waboa wo ho yi no sɛ yɛ mmienu bɛtena kaa koro mu a yɛsi hɔ a no wafa ha no mafa ha ɛne ahometie sɛm biara nim ɛfiri sɛ mmaa wobɛtumi akɔfa ataadeɛ wei ohua na ɔde ato no ho na ɔtene ha na wagyina ha na ɔde asi hɔ na ɔkɔ store wei ɔbɛkɔ store 9 na wasan ba store wei no na ɔbɛfa la deɛ di kan na ɔyɛɔyɛ no na ɛno atɔ ebi koraa ɔmo ka hwɛ sɛ nkyene wɔ mu a ayi wɔn se Belgium ntoma woka hwɛ a wohunu sɛ nki awurade ho yɛ mɔbɔda wɔn ayɛ mo mpa yɛ amen thank you yehowa yɛde wase paa sɛ wodɔ yɛn nti wo dane yɛn wosiesie yɛn ama wɔgye yɛpa ɔkyɛw sɛ kyerɛ a wonam wo mma so yɛn nnɛ no ma yɛntastas ne sɛ madwema ma yɛ honhom mu ahoɔden a ɛbɛma yɛatumi de ayɛ adwuma na wadom ne wodɔ nti yɛawareɛ ahyɛ aseɛ anya ɔsoro anigye no bi na asiesie yɛn ama daa nkwa yesu din mu ne yɛsrɛ wɔ amen
Pastor Gassi. Patrick, a friend, brother, Sam. Now I've been leading one song. Why was say of course anything go Patrick, Dr. Kofi Bonnie, and then to us. So am I at 11:40 on the dot. It's Oh, Pacho, Emma washroom. We'll call out these doors on the right. And Emma there were downstairs. Pacho, Emma on the right. Emma were downstairs. Oh, you can just stand there.
Right. Sorry. Okay, but David. Okay.
Thank you. I need to turn it off.
No, I'm fix it.
Try to. Good morning. My own, yeah, good morning. Whilst I want to welcome everyone. My own, yeah, Kwaba. Yeah, but to hymn number 308. Holy Thine, 308. Yeah, my own, yeah, Kwaba. Hymn number 308. We are now your brother Joshua Bebompae. Now, after prayer, you become about stress. Into your speaker for today, Dr. Bonnie from British Columbia. About stress here at Tete, Dajin. Dr. Bonnie. Good. 308. But he might be 308. I will be their Savior, holy thine. Teach me how. Go. I will be their Savior, holy thine. Teach me how. Teach me how. Oh Lord, not mine. Help me now. Holy thine, holy thine. holy thine, holy thine, holy thine. This is my vow. Holy thine, holy thine, holy cry, holy cry, say. To your friend, brother Joshua, but your bomb pie mine, bomb pie we are, the betting voice, Dr. Kofi Boni, Obeka about stress. That's it.
Agyirifo mmerɛ asene mu mpae. Agya yɛda wo ase wɔ bammɔ nhwɛso pa a wode yɛn aduru saa berɛ yi. Yɛtoa yɛn som so yi, yɛsrɛ wo sɛ bɛka yɛn ho. Yɛde ɔpanin kɛseɛ a wode no asi hɔ nom sɛ ɔmmɛkyerɛkyerɛ yɛn anɔpa berɛ yi ɛrehyɛ wo nsa. Sɛ wankasa ɛka ne ho. Ma no ahoɔden ne nimdeɛ a ɛsɛ na ɛfata. Yɛn nso a yɛtie, ɛma yɛntie no kɛkɛ, na mmom yɛntie no yɛntu ho anammɔn. Yɛnim sɛ ɛbɛboa yɛn ɛwɔ akwantuo a yɛde twɛn Kristo yi. Ka yɛn ho wɔ Yesu Kristo din mu. Amen.
I'll introduce. Okay. Okay, all right. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing major. Okay, so we just want to welcome Pastor. Oh, Papa, Pastor, sir. Oh, brother, so your Pastor, son is. Well, he's a pastor in his own right. Yeah, the Nyankopon say or the brother, Dr. Kofi Boni, Abe Kayen, yeah, per se a man warm welcome because he really went out of his way to be here for us. He came and then after the session he has to go back. We know that he really had to sacrifice, and so we are very, very appreciative of what he's going to do. He's going to talk about family stress, and I guess the reason why he's talking about that is he has a lot of experience in mental health and psychiatry, psychology. So that is the background that he has, and we hope that he will be able to bless us today. So welcome to Edmonton. Yachina ba Edmonton but at least wabalakom or be Edmonton. So we are very happy to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much thank you so much for inviting me. For the purposes for the purpose of all my friends around the world that I invited them to join me online, I'll be speaking a lot of English. And but they want to hear this message, so they've kindly requested. Our pese meka brofo no mutimiti bi ntimpacho be se mobile allow na maka brofo yes I met brofo no super but meka brofo na etimi content time. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to present to this group. If there is something in the last 3 years, me awake at night, is what I'm going to talk about. Because I realize a lot of us are getting sick and dying prematurely. A lot of us are spending money on things that we could have spent money. We could have, let me put it this way, we are throwing our wealth away. I don't know where to start from, but let me first start with some few narratives. I got into this field somehow by divine providence. I was in a boys' school. Mimbodin. I'm sure people already know. Mr. Brother Biabo. Yes, Mekwa Kraka. And I one of my best friends that is no more, developed a mental disorder from excessive use of marijuana. That was my first exposure to mental health. We have family friends that had shown symptoms and signs of mental disorder, and we've prayed it out. As a pastor's kid, I was privy to some information of church members that have been admitted to Accra Psychiatric Hospital and Pantine. And actually, I had visited Pantine with my dad. And the only reason my dad used to go out with me. Anytime he's going for visitation, he goes out with me. And I think the only time, or the reason why he took me along was, you cannot trust me to be home and not do anything good. You come back, I have done something. So to prevent that, he will take me along. Then I didn't want to do anything in healthcare. So after my sixth form, I decided not to actually focus on my medical career, but look for money. But I did sixth form, I did A-level biology, chemistry, physics. So for a year, I worked in computers, sold computers, made a lot of money. Before I entered Legon, I owned my own car. Like I made a lot of money, but I was not happy. And my late man will advise, do what will make you happy. I bumped into clinical psychology and I've never been the same. It's just my forte. I love it. Fast forward, I now see things within my family, things outside my family, the church, and I can see this fast train running. That if we do not start discussing mental health, the way we talk about physical health, we are heading for danger. You cannot, let me first start on the premise. You cannot delineate, you cannot separate mental health from your physical health. I know I'm focused on, in the program, it says family stress. I'll talk about stress, but you cannot separate your physical health from your mental health. Somehow in history, we lost the plug, and scientists thought it was different. Our physical health was different from our mental health. But they are the same. Let me try and put it in three. You cannot separate it. I know Rene Descartes and all these philosophers started talking about the mind is different from the body. And there's a Canadian neurosurgeon who actually started making that proposal and got a Nobel Prize for it. The mind is different from the body. It is not. It's the same thing. I learned it in quite a unique way. When I was young, about 8 years old, I tried cracking a nut with a hammer. Let me bring it home. I tried cracking a nut with a hammer. My mom was walking by. She said, what are you going to do? You're going to hurt yourself so bad. Just stop. But I had done it before, and it was good. The outcome was good. I got my nuts, everything in. So I continued till I knocked my nail out. I lost my nail. So poor circulation, trauma, you lose the nail, a new nail will grow. But for about 3 months, I had to walk around like this to protect this nail. I didn't go to accident and emergency. I saw my nail grow back. But I was miserable. I'm a very happy person. I was miserable for 3 months. That was, for me, the correlation, that sync, that your mental health, how you feel, your emotions are connected to your physical health. I will be focusing on mental health still, but I wanted to lay that foundation. Fast forward, I have seen so many things that I want to share with you, my observations. This is what I know now, because the more I read, the more I know, the more I actually get a deeper understanding of even things that medicine do not clearly understand and explain. Let me start with some definitions of mental health. Let's start with some definitions of mental health. Is it working? Let's go to the next slide, please. Let's start with some definitions of mental health. Because over the years, we've realized there is multiple definitions, just like any theory or any terminology. But I like these two definitions of mental health. One from CDC and the other one from WHO. Thank you. And I have inserted two of my own words in green. The first definition, I inserted, those are the words I inserted from the CDC. Mental health includes your emotional, your psychological, and social well-being. I inserted physical and cultural because there's a huge cultural component to your mental health. Okay, the diagnostic manual. If I talk about diagnostic manual, there's a book written that it helps practitioners to classify or diagnose you of any mental disorder. Formerly, the previous books did not have the cultural component in it. And we all know, in our Ghanaian community, for instance, a typical example is, let me give you a typical, you can see two men holding hands in Ghana, putting their hands on each other's shoulder, walking down the street. It doesn't mean anything. When you come to this part of the world, and two men are holding hands, it means something different. Okay? So cultural component is very important when you capture, and I've seen people from our side actually admitted to hospital for something that people do not understand them. A case in point was a young gentleman from the West Indies. This was in Vancouver. He saw two men holding hands or kissing on the street. And he was a Rastafarian. So he started shouting some Rastafarian lingo. He said, "Fire burn them." And they interpreted it as him having homicidal ideation toward them. I'm not kidding. This guy was locked up in a psychiatric institution. I happened to be working and had a good interaction with him. My older brother, who is a pastor, spent about how many years? 5 years in Jamaica. So and at some point in my life, I was very close to them, so I understood where he was coming from. Till they understood the cultural component of that, this guy would have been spent unnecessarily, because the more they spoke to him and tried to elicit homicidal ideation from him, he became more frustrated and angry. And the worst place to show your anger is an acute psychiatric hospital. You'll be there for a long time. You don't challenge them. They have the power. Anyway, moving forward, I like this definition for mental health. Basically, what I'm trying to bring, because we have to, before I move into talking about the causality or the etiology of mental illness and talk about what are some of the common mental illness and talk about solutions for mental health, let's have a clear definition for what mental health is. Clear definition. I'll have enough time for us to talk about questions. Can I move on to the next slide? Yes, it's working. Now let's take a quick quiz. Usually after sitting down for a while, I know we have to juggle our memories to know whether everybody is present, okay? So let's look at some few questions. Poor mental health increases the risk of long-lasting chronic physical conditions like heart disease, stroke, cancer, all the above. What do you think the answer is? All the above. If you have poor mental health, your lifespan decreases by about 10 to 20 years. Yes. Next question. Mental illness is very common, not very common, fairly common. What do you think the answer is? Very common. And what's the ratio in Canada? 1 to 5. And that statistic, I will challenge you, I think it's more of 1 to 4. 1 to 3. So just look at us here. And we come from families of minimum 4. Just look at us here. Among us gathered here, there is somebody going through something, or somebody who has gone through something. Why don't we talk about this often? Because it even determines how present you are, even as I make this presentation. Let's look at the next question. Suicide is the leading cause of death among people 15 to 34 in the United States. That is the same statistics in Canada. You can delete United States and use Canada. What do you think the answer is? What do you think the answer is? 24th, 10th, 40th, the second. The second. For young people, 15 to 34, suicide is the second leading cause of death. Not any form of illness. And we know, this data was taken before pandemic. Post-pandemic, I will not be surprised if it is even more. If you know someone with poor mental health, what can you do to help? Reaching out and letting them know help is available, one option. Helping them to access mental health services, another option. Third option, learning and sharing the facts about mental health, especially if you hear something that isn't true. And the last option, all the above. What do you think the answer is? All the above. There is a lot of misinformation about mental health. That impacts our stigma and biases towards people with mental health. I know of people who have married people who have mental illness, and because they later realize that the person have mental illness, they seek divorce or they have divorced. I know families that have given birth to kids with mental health, and because they have kids with mental health, the family is no longer together. We come from a diverse church population. There are people in our church that cause commotion, that we disfellowship. And if you look at their commotion they cause in the church, it's because of an underlying mental health problem. I've been to a church when the pastor is talking, somebody will stand up and challenge the pastor. That the Bible says this, you could see that the person is struggling in other ways. And the church being a place of support, is like, let's disfellowship this guy. There's so much about mental illness all around us. I gave a couple of years ago, you heard crashed a plane. Were impacted by that. I will later on talk about trauma. But would you see just that single act impacting over 400,000 people? And I think it's an underestimation. People who are scared of flying were traumatized by it. They are now even more scared to fly. There were two schools of it. Every family member who had a kid on that plane, the communities they belong to, the social clubs they belong to, The sporting clubs these kids belong to and their families belong to were all impacted by it. Mental health is all around us. How come we do not talk about it? We don't prioritize. How many times have you spoken about mental health at the dinner table with your kids? No, I'm just checking. If suicide is the second leading cause of death for people 15 to 34, can anybody here raise their hand? Talk about how many times you've had talk about suicide, talk about mental health at the dinner table with your kids. How many times in our church will we spend time talking about chip, cholesterol? We will talk about eating healthy, talk about all those things. How many times do we have a focus on mental health? I just even realized recently, I was talking to some of my relatives, and I realized they do not even know what I do. It hit me so bad. I was talking about mental health, and I was talking about and it hit me what I'm talking about. And I'm not a family member. Personal weakness, lack of factors, including biological stress, trauma. What I think the question is? Yes, this really segue when I talk about biases, talk about stigma. Come from a place that people feel mental health can be personal weakness. If you can pray your way to good health. Yes, you can pray the demons away. It's a medical condition also. If your leg is broken, you don't just pray it to good leg. You seek help, don't we? If it's obviously broken, you seek help. Most of us, if we have a mental health breakdown, you cannot come to church. You don't feel like coming to church. It's very difficult for you to tell people you cannot come to church. You rather say you have flu or we've not normalized mental health. I'm here to plead, to present a case for us to prioritize our mental health. We are dying prematurely. And it's not just giving us a lot to think about, but it's increasing our risks of autoimmune disorders, cancers, and many chronic conditions. How many people know there's a direct correlation between mental health and cancer? Yep. Mental health increases your risk or exacerbates your symptoms for cancer and autoimmune disorder, which most of us are actually suffering with. I can talk about my autoimmune disorder, and I'll share it with you when I get there. Stress is real. Stress is real. Do not mess around with it. Okay, now let's talk about what causes mental health. I've given a definition of mental illness. I've spoken about some of the stigma and the biases about mental health. I've touched on a lot of subjects, but let's talk about what causes mental disorder. I like an engaging audience. Okay, it is not just me presenting facts. I would like to engage you. What do you think causes mental disorder? Any ideas? What do you think? Any ideas? What causes mental disorders? Excessive stress. Yes. Thank you. It's true. Finance, money. Yes. What causes mental disorder? Yes, causes mental disorder. Yes. Chemical imbalance. There are biological factors. So comes here. If I say nature, I'm referring to anything biological. You can inherit mental disorders by no cause of you not doing anything. You just inherited it in your genes. There are biological factors, imbalances in neurochemicals in your brain can cause you to have mental disorder. There's nothing you can do about it. You can have head trauma, which can cause mental health disorders. You can have other medical conditions that can cause you to have mental disorders. But I want to focus on only three. Only three. And I changed the fonts on these three things. You see it under the genes. I will focus on social isolation and loneliness, stress, and trauma, being the three causes of mental disorders that mostly we do not talk about. I just want to focus on these three. And why am I focusing on these three? Because that is where our current evidence suggests is causing us so many problems. Okay? You may inherit the genes for mental illness, but we know nurture, in the right environment, the genes will not be expressed. This is studies from monozygote twins that they inherited. They've inherited, let's say, the schizophrenic gene. To develop schizophrenia, I'll talk about how schizophrenia. Usually, schizophrenia is marked by lack of reality. So, lack of reality comes with psychosis. If you've ever heard of psychosis, they see things nobody is seeing, they hear things nobody is hearing. Those are the common hallucinations. And there's also delusions. They believe they have a fixed false belief. Okay? Those are the classic schizophrenia. We have positive symptoms, negative symptoms. I'll not spend too much time there. Let's focus on the three things. Loneliness. Do you know we live in a very lonely community now? Historically, I'll talk about loneliness. Historically, when we were, let me say, the whole world, I'll say about 300, 400 years ago, we were not that lonely. Everybody had a community, 150 people, close-knit. The hunger you feel, the biological need to satisfy, have food, that is the loneliness, is what causes the social need to have socialization. Lack of it causes loneliness. Being alone should not be confused with loneliness. Being alone. When I come to church, sometimes I want to sit at the back. That's why I want to be alone. That doesn't mean I want to be lonely. Loneliness should not be confused with loneliness, being alone. With this gadget, you can have 2,000 followers and still be very lonely. Talk about high suicide rates among, or what do we call them, on YouTube and social media? Influencers. Influencers have got very high suicide rates. They are loved they have 50,000, million thousand likes, but they feel very lonely. I'll spend some time talking about loneliness. But loneliness kills. It is currently estimated that in the United States of America, 46% of the whole population feel lonely. The Surgeon General for United States of America, Vivek Murthy, has made it his top priority that he is going to do something about loneliness because it increases the risks of chronic conditions, all chronic conditions. Diabetes. People eat out of boredom. People enjoy sugary food because it gives them a little bit that angst that loneliness have left. It is named as a current epidemic in the United States. You know, in the United Kingdom, they've got a minister for loneliness. There is a minister for loneliness in the United Kingdom. Because loneliness is costing them trillions and billions of pounds. We are very lonely. Why are we lonely? Our lifestyle. Somebody said stress, money, our lifestyle. We work, building castles in the air. Build 2 houses in Ghana, 2 cars here. You want to drive the latest car, have the latest this thing. You die young or die sick for years. I have witnessed recently a lot of young people dying prematurely. You see, if you die quick, easy, that is one thing. But to be sick for years before you lose your life is pathetic, because your sickness is also impacting the community. It's impacting your kids. Loneliness is deadly. The Surgeon General and most psychologists now compare loneliness to what? How many sticks of cigarette a day? A box of cigarette a day. That's how deadly we see loneliness. Are we talking about loneliness? Are we doing something about loneliness? And it's a huge cause for mental illness. I can spend the whole day talking about loneliness. Research shows that people who are lonely or loneliness can make your chronic condition worse. So if you have diabetes, asthma, high blood pressure, all those chronic conditions, autoimmune disorders are worsened by loneliness. Cancer is worsened by loneliness. You know what? I can share some few. There are some few friends who have been put on terminal condition and they've given me 3 months to live. And all of a sudden, you realize family swells around them. The church swells around them. Now they live for how many months? 2 years. Most doctors. I had a family friend who was given, I think, 6 months to live. So he decided, why not? I'm not going to die here. I'm going back home to Ghana. Went back to Ghana, lived there for another 3 years before going. Why didn't we do this when he was alive? You know, when they give you the diagnosis, you find time to make time for yourself. I've been proximate with certain diagnoses, and I know you will find time. All the things that were your top priority, your priority will change from the doctor's office. As you walk to the car, your priorities will change. Thank you. I have somebody who is listening to me here. I will talk about stress, but to talk about stress, let me just move on to my slides on stress. Because I'm sure if you are wondering what loneliness is, this is loneliness, the definition for loneliness. Emotional state created when people have fewer social contacts and meaningful relationships that they will like. It is very subjective. Loneliness is subjective. That is why it's difficult to even measure. How do you measure how lonely you are? The social cycle that will make you not feel lonely today is not be the same social cycle. It's very subjective. And we know in our world now, in our metric-driven world, everybody wants to see outcomes. Can we measure the outcome? If it's not measurable, then there's no point spending time on it. Not everything can be measured. How do you measure how much you love your kid? Can you put it on a scale? Have you ever tried putting your love for your kid or your spouse on a scale? Certain things cannot be measured. Now let's look at stress. I know there's a big emphasis on stress, and that is where I will be spending most of my presentation. What is stress? What is stress? Because I was talking to a friend. He's like, so what is stress? I've looked at a couple of definitions for stress, but I like this one. Is anything life brings our way that has the potential to upset our balance. It's different from trauma, but anything that accepts our balance. What balance do we have? So if I am living with my wife and my kids, everything is okay. And all of a sudden, my wife is not talking to me, or all of a sudden, I cannot pay my bills. It has upset my balance. So the things, you think about it, the things that can offset your balance is so many. Everything can upset your balance. Stress is an adaptive. Stress is good, though. If we didn't have stress, we wouldn't be here. You need a little bit of stress to live. Like, could you imagine if you had no stress? People who do not have stress in their life, everything is okay, everything. They end up dying really young. If because of stress, I see a lion, I'll run away. It's an adaptive mechanism. You understand? Because of stress, if I see fire, it will cause me stress here. It will upset my balance. I'll run away. It's a survival mechanism. But that which causes you, or that adaptive mechanism your body has to deal with the stress, can also be maladaptive if you keep turning that switch on and off, on and off, on and off. The Greek word for trauma, which is a form of stress, is wound. I'll say every trauma is stress, but not all stress is traumatic. Stress is at another level. Trauma is defined as the psychological, emotional response to an event or experience that is deeply distressing and disturbing. I would like to pivot here and talk about trauma a little bit because I like what Pastor Amor was preaching this morning. As I was listening to it, that which can be adaptive can also be maladaptive. I'm sure somebody is thinking here, what then is trauma? What causes wound? I'm focusing on psychological trauma, which is as deadly as physical trauma. Speak to anybody who has been psychologically been impacted, and they will tell you what he did was as if he stabbed me with a knife. When I heard the way he spoke to me, when I heard the way these elders were approaching me, I felt they were stabbing me or beating me. They beat me. I think that would be much better than what you are currently doing. I'm not going to talk about trauma because there's current research to actually tell us that which we did not know before. I'm sure some of you have heard it before, but I'd like to spend some time here and spend a little bit on time on childhood trauma. How do I talk about trauma in a way for us to understand? I'll be focusing on 3 types of trauma. Trauma from abuse, trauma from neglect, and family trauma or family dysfunctional trauma. There are types of trauma, vicarious trauma, and all sorts of trauma. We will talk about it another time. Everybody is familiar with sexual abuse or sexual assault being traumatic. I'll not break into it. But there are types of trauma that even exist that we've normalized it. You know, silence is a tool. Our brother asked, men like using silence. But that silence as a tool can also be used in a very, timing is everything. There are men at home who, because of what their wife has done, she overshopped. She spent too much time. When we went for shopping, you come home and you don't talk. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. What did I do wrong? It's a form of traumatic. It's a form of abuse. Neglect is a form of abuse. This is what we call neglect. Women that, because of what their husband have done, For that, we're no longer sleeping. 6 weeks is a form of abuse. I have met kids whose dads have never hugged them. It's a form of abuse. I can list a whole, I have a tool here. The sad thing is, I see it all the time in our church. I see it all the time in our Ghanaian community. And we do not know the impact it's having on our health, on our children's health, our spouse's health, and the community's health. That is what is killing me. That's what is keeping me awake at night. If anybody has not heard of the ACEs, what I spoke about are all ACEs, adverse childhood events. For those who have not heard about it, let me explain what adverse childhood events and the history of adverse childhood events. So in the mid-90s, two physicians, Robert Ander and Vincent Felletti, both in California, one working for CDC, the other working for Kaiser Permanente, decided to do a research. Actually, let me backtrack why they decided to do the research. One of them specialized in working with people who are obese and overweight, people who eat. They can't stop themselves eating. And he was working with this lady who did so well. I think the lady lost about 200 pounds. It's a long time I read this literature, so please bear with me. I may not be giving you the exact, but the lady had lost over 200 pounds for over 2 years. All of a sudden, the lady started gaining all the pounds back. And he could not figure out what was it. The lady then opened up and shared with this physician that I was sexually abused at the age of 4 or so. And memories of that is flooding back due to certain circumstances I'm in now. So that triggered this tool to look at a population of, I think, 17,000. And this is a rich area, most of them college educated, to look at how many people have had an ACE, an adverse childhood, before their 18th birthday. And the results was outstanding. It blew their mind away. That is the seminal work that actually taught us that if you have experienced certain forms of trauma in your life, your chances of you developing depression is higher. Chances of you even getting asthma is higher. Chances of you even dying by suicide chances of you using drugs is really high. What are some of this trauma? The trauma I'm talking about are the following: neglect, physical neglect, sexual neglect, psychological neglect. You know what neglect is, right? Even you can live with somebody and not talk to the person, or not even hold his hand. This is a form of neglect. Abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. This is all forms of trauma. Living in a home with somebody with mental disorder is traumatic. Living in a home where there's a single parent or divorce, or your parents are constantly fighting, or you even observing and hearing one of your parents physically abusing, beating your mom is trauma. And I'm sure everybody here is thinking about it. That is normal. Like everybody knows about this in our community. And my wife will ask me, so all of us, we've all traumatic, so what should we do? Are we all going to die? I'm like, honey, it is not that. It's having the awareness. Because this trauma is intergenerational. What you are going through now, it goes through your genes to your children. That has some scientists have actually explained that even childhood cancers childhood. Akola, 4 years old, he's never experienced the world. He comes to this world with cancer. And we're wondering why. We see intergenerational trauma being going to the kids. I'll explain how the biology works. But we've seen so many of these that I want to pause and reflect on this. And I'm not saying that life is hopeless when you have all experienced trauma. Life is not hopeless. But once you know about it, we got to do something about it. Break the chain of trauma. Let's break it out of our communities. Let's break it out of our homes. Let's break it out of our families. I want to be a better parent, knowing that my kids have inherited some trauma that I had nothing to do with it. My grandfather, everybody knows my dad here. I never met my grandfather. My grandfather died when my dad was 8 years. My dad doesn't talk about it. I've never heard him preach about it. He blocks it. But I now understand how my dad was so protective of us, that it scared him to death that he has to travel and leave us. When I realized the correlation between stress and eye health condition, I cried. I lost a friend, 42 years, Adventist, vegetarian, I think I would say even vegan. He runs every day. He did everything right. Got an aggressive posture. He's the loveliest person I could ever meet. When I went to move to BC, just two of us, I couldn't afford movers. He spent the day with me moving. He was a pastor, very lovely man, powerful preacher. And I could not figure out on God's earth, why would this guy be having cancer? Aggressive, prostate cancer is usually treatable. But his was so aggressive, he was given months to live. And at that moment in time, you don't want to ask him questions. But I heard the announcement he's going to preach his last sermon. So I told my wife, I got to be there. We have to go for this. And I sat there in the pews, cried like a baby, when this guy disclosed for the first time publicly that he was abused as a kid at 8 and could not forgive his abuser and his mom because he loves his mom. Look at all the trauma here. Loves his mom. Told the mom. Mom says, never say that about the man of God because it was a man of God that abused him. His dad wasn't home. All he has is his brother and his mom. He loves his mom to bits. So he also has to always push down that feeling. That which doesn't kill you, only maims you. It's just a matter of time. I can talk about my own stresses because at some point in time, I was then living in the UK. Living in a strange land, supporting my sibling, having a professor who doubted my ability to think and read. I developed a rash on my arm. That rash would not respond to any of the Ghanaian topical medications. I tried Mercy cream. I tried everything. It didn't go. So I decided to go and see a GP. This old GP, God bless her. Because most people wouldn't be able to diagnose it. She just looked at it. She says lupus. And you know what lupus is? It's an autoimmune disorder. When I was growing, it was not one of the diseases in our vocabulary. Now in the Ghanaian community, a lot of people have lupus. And it's an autoimmune disorder. Let me teach you how it works. Anytime you see something that causes you stress and trauma, your body activates, right? There's an activation. They call it, Your stress response, it activates. Your heart beats faster. Blood is directed to the vital organs. You get into the flight, freeze response. It's an adaptive mechanism, but it now becomes maladaptive because you are always meeting that thing that scares you. I see the lecturer, I get scared. After a couple of times, and what does the body do when you are under stress? It produces cortisol, adrenaline. Where does the adrenaline and cortisol go afterwards? It increases the risk of what? Inflammation. And what is inflammation? What is steroids? Steroids is what? An anti-inflammatory. Most of these conditions, you take steroids. Asthma, you take steroids for it. It's inflammation everywhere. And we play around as if stress doesn't kill. Oh, it's just asthma. Oh, it's just diabetes. So I was giving prednisone, steroids to Robbie. But this woman told me something that I thank her for. She's like, whatever you're doing, you have to take stress out of your life, or else I have to put you on oral or IV steroids. That's IV prednisone. I said when you hear the diagnosis, things will change, your priorities will change. My walk from the GP to my car, I started reprioritizing my life. So fast, I reprioritized my life. Seriously. I used not to exercise regularly. I started playing soccer every Sunday. Frank is here. I started playing soccer every Sunday, rain or shine. I still play. To date, I still play soccer every Sunday. If you invite me for a wedding on Sunday or activity on Sunday, very likely I will not show up. Or I'll show up 30 minutes and go away. Because listen, at the end of the day, when I'm dead, none of these things matter. I'm serious. None of this matter. No, who is going to remember me that I came to your wedding or I came to the event? Who is going to suffer the most? My kids and my loved ones. I have to be serious. I have to reprioritize life. I'll talk about all the things that I have noticed from literature that help us to stay healthy. But stress kills, and we have to do something very different to help us live healthy, not just for our mental health, but also for our physical health. So going back to the study from Robert Ander and Vincent Felletti, they realized that cancers, your rates of cancers, increases with your ACE score, your adverse childhood event score. Everybody here, no, you just, all the things I talk about, there are 10 things. I have the tool here. Look at it. It's too small. It's just 10 things. You, for a second, please focus here. I'm going to take you through the 10 things. Don't even share with your spouse. Okay? If you have ever been in a form of neglect, physical, I define what physical neglect is, right? Physical neglect. You've been through psychological neglect, some form of abuse, physical, emotional abuse. If you have been through any of those things, thank you so much. If you've been through any of this, if you have a family member that has been incarcerated, a family member that has mental illness, a family member who is chronically ill, you have had an ACE score. And as I mentioned, if you are able to deal with it, it goes through your gene. It's passed on from one generation to the other. You know that? And this is the studies that we got to know that it has passed through. Just look at those who experience Holocaust. Studies have shown that their grandchildren have experienced symptoms like those who even went through the gas chambers or those who survived the Holocaust. Anxiety attacks. If you follow the work of this social worker, Joy DeGraw, he called it post-slavery disorder. Joy DeGraw. He actually realized that the most Black Americans, the way they act is as a result of years of slavery. Now, knowing all this, is there hope for us? I'll just give you some few data about having more than 4 ACEs. What it does, it increases the risk of substance use. It increases the risk of cancer. It brings all the risks. Just enough of those. I'm sure somebody is here wondering, am I a bearer of bad news? And I'm a bearer of good news too. God being so good, He is giving us some answers to help us thrive. And we can thrive and we can break the chain. How can we thrive and break the chain? I say this, prevention is better than cure. Has anybody been sick here? Has anybody been sick? But let me ask the question right. Have you been sick of an illness that you could have prevented? Yes. Okay. Let me give you a simple one is, you have to sleep in a mosquito net. And you don't sleep in the mosquito, the place is infested with mosquito. Just 2 weeks after, you start developing malaria, and you're like, all I had to do was to pull this net down. Or you mean one night, you see that night, the mosquitoes totally overwhelm you. And you wonder, all I had to do was, or you were supposed to take your, weekly anti-malaria, and you forgot to take it for a month, and now you get malaria and you wish you had taken your tablet. Prevention is always better than cure. Most of the item here, this is one slide. I will not move from here. But this is one slide that captures everything that we know now that can help you, prevent you from passing on all the stress, and help you heal if you have been through trauma or you are in a stressful situation. So I'm going to go through very quick so that we can have a lot of time having questions and answers. Quickly, we now know that healthy relationships give good health. Healthy relationships give good. What am I referring to as healthy relationships? We being here, we love each other. We are here spending some time together. Healthy relationships give. The longest study done, longitudinal studies done on human beings. Harvard study, led by a team by Robert Waldinger. He has a TED talk on this. Says that it is not what you eat that kills you. Amazingly, for Adventists, we are like, hey, what am I saying? What you eat is important, but that which eats you is more important. Okay? Healthy relationships. We are social beings. We are social beings. Could you imagine not interacting with anybody? Have you realized people who are carefree? If you provoke them, they tell you their peace of mind, they move on. They live very long. They live very long. Okay? We are healthy living. Our families, our friends, our work environment, our church environment, let me add, will make you get good health or not. Sometimes for our family, you cannot change your family. You have to learn to live with our family. That is the stress from home. You have to learn with it. But let us be intentional to create an environment at the church, in our home, that will make us thrive so that our stresses do not overwhelm us. Because as I said, we were born with stresses. We live in stress. So a way for us to be healthy is to create environment around us that will help us promote good health. That is why I changed jobs. I want to be the longest serving employee there. But if it is not working, it is not working. You got to move on. I've met some people with chronic headaches, really bad migraine, to the point that they've gone for scan. They thought they had brain cancer. And we're wondering, why are they so sick? I asked them, do you love the people you work with? He says, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. I say, why are you still there? Family, you cannot change. I cannot change my parents, I cannot change my siblings, they have family. But you have a choice to see how you interact with them. When I got to know about stress, I called my siblings down. I called my siblings, let's talk about this thing. This thing of us fighting and arguing, it won't work. It won't work for anybody. If I have something that you don't like, listen, when we were young, I have two older brothers. We used to fight like crazy. They beat me, but I'll never stop fighting. When I realized that we all stopped. Listen, we argue, we have intense conversation. But if you are standing by, you think we never, it doesn't go the following day. No, it's not worth it. I know families that siblings don't talk. They've not spoken for years. I know parents who don't talk to your children. If you are the parent that you punish your kids by not talking to them, please stop. Relationships are very important. And if you are here, that you are influential in a community, whether it's your home, whether it's work, you have the power to make the place conducive for people to thrive, to love each other. Please do so. We cannot help it. Stress is all around us. The best we can do is manage stress. As I said, we were born with stress, we live in stress. You have to do something about stress. So what can we do about stress to make it work? Leisure. We don't like going for a holiday. We don't know how to holiday. You know, people work 3 months. They say they are saving money to go to Ghana. We work for a whole year saving money to go to Ghana for holiday. Let me tell you what it does. Usually when you go to Ghana, you are not holidaying. You come back more tired than you went. Okay? That prolonged stretch of work is not healthy. Learn to take periodic breaks, short breaks. Every weekend you carve out time to be with yourself. Laughter is medicine. I highlight that here because sometimes in our community, these are the things that are keeping us together. I'm not saying everything in our community is bad. You know, in our community, we have a lot of laughter. Everything we do, we laugh. We create laughter around us. Laughter is medicine. And if you doubt what I'm saying, there's a book called An Anatomy of Illness by Norman Cousins. He was a journalist, and he had an accident which caused him to have ankylosing spondylitis. He was given 3 months to live, and he laughed his way out to good health. Bedridden. He was given 3 months to live. So as he was in hospital, one of his friends came, cracked jokes, he started laughing, he started moving his fingers. So they decided to give him Charlie Chaplin movies, and he laughed his way out. He was given 3 months to live. He ended up living 20 more years. Check it out, An Anatomy of Illness by Norman Cousins, Cussons. Gratitude. Having a spirit of gratitude. No, there are things in life that are free, but we sometimes want. I was sharing this with a colleague. One of the reasons why I stopped, or I normally do not present to people who invite me, because one, I cannot charge them, and two, because it's free, people tune out. Places that I present that they pay $1,000 or more, Now, I'm not saying that's my fee. Places that I present that they pay more, I go, every row is occupied. They listen to rapt attention. When it's free, people don't value it. We knew air was free till COVID. We knew air was free till COVID. And we saw, what does a ventilator do? It just helps you to breathe. And how come ventilators are so expensive? And I say, now you know why every morning you wake up, you have to thank God for air. When you are upright, you are ventilating, you thank God. Because if you end up on a ventilator, you will know somebody must monitor every second of your life. Let's talk about volunteering. These are all healthy things that we do to keep stress at bay. Sleep. I'll highlight sleep. North America, we don't sleep. Especially for our kids. Kids don't sleep here. Our kids now have got cell phones. Please, parents, take the cell phones away. No kid will love me here after this talk. We're dying premature. Adults here sleep with their cell phone by their bedside. It's not healthy. Leave it away. Everybody needs different level of sleep, but you need a good night's sleep. I would say 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Teens need even more sleep. We don't sleep. You will be sleeping, your phone is by, somebody calls you from Ghana, it wakes you up, you have a disturbed sleep. And what are they even talking about? Oh, somebody is dead. So why are you waking me up 2 a.m. to tell me somebody is dead? Do you realize you are now killing me? Listen, sleep is medicine. Let me tell you what sleep does. Do you know your risk of dementia, which is now very common in our community? Your risk of dementia increases because if you don't sleep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't tell you, before you see somebody in our community develop dementia, they are way advanced in age, 90 years. Now we are having 60, 50 developing dementia. Yes. A lot of stress. Because when you don't sleep, the buildup of beta amyloids, it increases. For students here, if you want to be smart, you sleep. Gone were those days that you thought you cram. If you cram, you stay up and do all night. I have tried cramming. It didn't work for me. And I realized that if you want to really be smart, you sleep more, because the time that the brain processes information from short-term memory to long-term memory is when you are asleep. There are so many advantages to sleeping that I do not have time to go through. Sleep is medicine. Sleep is medicine. If you have a kid on the autistic spectrum, on the developmental, every time the kid sleeps, the behavior is different. Talk about exercise. We don't like exercising, especially our women. I have to say it. I have my mom of blessed memory, and my 2 sisters. I tell them, I don't know what about Ghanaian men. Very few Ghanaian women, they don't like exercise. Ghanaian men, they don't exercise, but at least they walk around. You can tell a Ghanaian man or how much they exercise by their anatomy. If their anatomy around below their chest is bulging, if I say it's bulging, they know what I'm talking about. There's only 2 things. It's either you have 1 pack, 6 pack. Please, spirituality is very important. Number one bust forgiveness. We do not know how to forgive. We do know how to forgive. Forgive and forget. It's medicine. I don't talk about social media management, nutrition. You got it. We don't know about it. You know we eat healthy because Adventists do well. We eat very well. We are healthy. We do all the good things. Everything is in moderation. I'm running through now. Everything in moderation. Water is good. If you drink too much, it can kill you. You know that. You know water can kill you. If you doubt what I'm saying, Google water intoxication. Because your electrolytes, you have all your electrolytes. Excessive water. I've seen people die because of excessive water drinking. They got heart attack from drinking excessive water. Everything in moderation. Exercise is good. If you over-exercise, it is not healthy. Forgiveness is good. Sunlight, all those things that temperance teaches us. I put in music here because music is a healer, and I love we interjected our talk with music. Let me go on to the next one. This is more intervention for kids. Let's go straight into questions because I know with questions, all these things will come up again. Any questions for me? Any questions for me? Yes, the mic will be passed around. Any questions for me? Yes, I have a question.
Hello?
Usually it's the first question, and I can tell you when it's time to close, that's when you will see everybody's hands up.
Hello? Hello?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes. Yes, please.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, so symptoms of stress. Yes. Okay, let me give you a list of symptoms of stress. The body keeps an account.
Hello? Hello?
Unexplained headaches is a symptoms of stress. Tightness in muscles, usually around your neck and your back, is a symptoms of stress. Okay? Aches is a symptoms of stress. Your mood, feeling anxious is a symptom of stress. Feeling insomnia is a big symptom of stress. If I say insomnia, the lack of sleep, oversleeping, sleeping is a symptom of stress. Your appetite, it affects your appetite. If you see foods that you enjoy, everybody has got food that you enjoy. Everybody has got a fruit they enjoy. Once a while, try eating the same fruit. You see, it doesn't feel the same. You are under stress. And stress, the symptoms of stress is so many. That's why I don't even go there. But there are common ones. The common ones are the ones that I've explained. Lack of concentration is a symptom of stress. Have you been driving? This is your route home. You always take exit 23. All of a sudden, you find yourself exit 18. You're already out of the highway, and you're like, oh, I'm not even at my destination yet, but I've taken you make your way right, and you are like, oh, today I take off. Listen, watch yourself. Listen, if you spend time reflecting, you quickly know what you are going through. Usually we are so busy, we don't even get time. We don't even get time to sit down to reflect. At the end of the day, how many of you get time to sit down, not doing anything, and think about your day? What you could have done better, what you didn't do better, or what you have you spent time thinking about it? Yeah. Does that help? Did that capture it? Yes. But headaches, migraines are huge ones. Tightness of muscles, huge one. Usually the muscle here. That is why when people go for massage, they feel so good. Massage is good stress buster. But not all, you don't even have time to do them. If somebody I know people who've been giving massage coupons for years. It's still in their drawer. They don't have time to go for massage. How many times have you closed from work, right? Sit down. Don't turn the TV on. TV does not help. Well, some people say it helps them distress. They watch useless movies, but it keeps your eye engaged. It keeps your head engaged. What I find really distressing is the guitar. For me, before maybe I leave, I'll play a song. I taught myself how to play in the last 3 years. I had been learning for 15 years. I could not play. Come COVID, I was stuck in Idaho. I work in the States. Stuck in Idaho, looking at wall to wall. The stress was up the roof. Picked up my guitar for the first time. I was able to put 2 chords together, and that is it. I'm the only guitarist that plays himself to sleep. I can take the guitar now, 30 minutes you come, I'll be here napping. Listen, I talk about this differently. My kids will tell me, oh, but Dad, I'm not tired. I'm like, shut that thing down. You're going to bed now. I have seen kids that they are going for all this therapy. Their parents are struggling, don't understand. They just turn the TV down. Give yourself. So if I talk about sleep, if you want to have good sleep, most of us don't have. You want to go have good sleep. Have a routine for sleep. Have a routine for sleep. Okay? Sleep in dark environments. Sleep, if you want to sleep in a dark environment, that means TV should be out of it. I don't know why we have TVs in our bedrooms. Unless maybe you are on call. They will call you to come and report on something. You have TV in the bed. I seriously don't understand. There's research to show that. What else? Cool environment. That cool environment, having a schedule to help you sleep. I know Seventh-day Adventist. Cell phone off if you can. Or if you're not off, let it vibrate somewhere in the corner. You choose this. So if you are sleeping, if it's vibrating and you are truly asleep, you hear it. Mine is always on vibrating, and it's on a carpet in the corner of the room. So if it vibrates, I don't even hear it, unless I'm not asleep. Okay? So if I hear it and I want to turn it off, there are times I still hear it, so I go and turn it off. There are times, most of the night, I don't hear it vibrate. Yes, please, a question here. Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We cannot talk enough about on that subject. But you made a point earlier, and you very briefly, but it was very important to me because I mean, some people aren't aware of that. How guilt could be a big cause of mental illness.
Yes.
So you put those two together, and I thought those maybe you plan on elaborating on it later.
Yeah.
But it's very important.
Thank you. And I can elaborate on it. Guilt. So there is this Indian philosopher, B.M. Hagde. He's a cardiologist by background. But he talks about forgiveness. And he actually quotes Jesus Christ. He's not a Christian, but he quotes Jesus Christ. We carry a lot of guilt. What did we do? What didn't we do? And how we should have done. Sometimes we just gotta let it go. So I'm sure the kids here, has anybody watched Frozen, or the adults here Frozen? One of my favorite songs is Let It Go. I sing it. Let it go, let it go. Sometimes I'm from work. That was the song I'll be singing to my car, because sometimes people do things to irritate you, to get you on the nerves. Just let it go. Let it go. There are things that you inherited, you cannot do anything about it. Are you going to beat yourself up? You didn't choose the type of dad to have. You didn't choose the type of mom. You didn't choose your siblings. They can get into your head. Are you going to fight them all the time? No. Find a common ground. Find a common ground to make things better. There are certain things that you cannot do anything about it. I heard Mom share. Yeah, I heard Mom share. Actually, let me go for a last question before I wrap it up.
It's a couple of fun. Remember, we have workshops, right?
Yeah.
One of the workshops is on stress. Now, workshops in the start here, we talk about the fact that your welcoming guests, whatever, they are housekeeping rules. One of them is that if any of the topics triggers you, either take care of yourself, because mental health, self-care is part of mental health.
Yes.
It is also upon that now logging off right. If it's in person, you can tell me, I'll take a break. But I can't beginning, not even in the middle, I can't break. But the American license is a cannot act. So there was one time that I was doing stress management, because obviously you can't put me in kiosk.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I can say, if it triggers you now, take care of yourself and all that. So during the course, we need to put the grammars up. Participants know numbers, but I swat it up, which is back away free. So I went to check for free. Now I contacted the career counselor. Say nice. So I want to check you out on this guy. Apparently, a word did be mentioned. One word, which to me, they look at a simple word, right? But in my other careers, and in my other profession, I realize that you need control of the word I bet you down.
Yes.
Maybe I can't say.
Yeah.
What I'm a former client, the word clown.
Yes.
Not the person, not the image.
Yeah.
The word clown. Otilia, no, I drink it. So they can't catch it. Maybe a joke. Economy a mistake. I thought it was a joke. No, I said no. Oh, now go know it. Or take the word clown a trigger. No, man, history, childhood trauma. Affecting the senior adulthood. Will be 60 plus. But what kind of word clown? It brings it back. Team, myself, they back to the church. And no matter why you need to control. Yeah. But seven, yana kasa bi owa you kind of just like that.
Yeah, loosely.
And because of the kasa, say in our workshop, you can't preempt it. You can't make sure say where's the calculated. Because why are you careful? If I go to make say if our workshop,
I was triggered.
For okay, I'm a woman with much. It's not say me under say condition. Me ma condition. To make us very careful to avoid that problem. So
yeah.
However, if you do a sorry, you can't say anything.
Yeah.
But say practical. I'm from back now. You can help us solve it.
Oh no.
It's sensitive something, so that we can all think about it.
Yeah.
Because affecting who will be so yeah. But you're kind of you're sensitive about it. And your mental health. Worry. Finally, no worry. I want to wait. Now, no, say, me no, say, affecting you, say yes.
Yeah.
Affecting you, I mean, cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. The area call as a couple.
Yeah.
Say, Nina, make video, seven to fracture. Yeah. My brother, when he's obedient, train line. Those one day I was going to work. No, I'm saying I'm not paid for police out going to work. And made the resume, recording person, distribute to power. But the other day I come was so traumatic that we just said we don't mind a yellow line, so we do not cross a yellow line. And the first thing that came to my mind is that
drive.
Training, the first thing that came to my mind, the first thing. To me, call you for Bruce line, I said, to send me 2 minutes back when I said, we become a call. But not my suicide intervention assist.
Yeah.
Until the first that came was why is suicide intervention training? So why are you on this line? The next thing is that you are a child of God. And the voice was so clear. And I went back. Right? Later I'm catching my wife. Yeah, that miscarriages. Or miscarriage. S. Capital S.
Yeah.
Now, at least I think it was Thursday. And we went to church on the Saturday. We went to church on the next Saturday. And the first question is, why are you here? You don't deserve to be here. Because so interesting. I pay your problem. No, please, I can't tell my wife. I don't know you're too skinny. Go and check your thyroid. Hey, you have 2 weeks. Oh, you're dying. Is there anything wrong? And as I'm saying, miscarriages, it's called Namicha for a reason. Your hospital, bladder, back, your clamps like and what American is. And obviously, we've lost the child. We went to the hospital, I'm going to scan. Yes, scan, the symmetries, I'm in tears. At that time, they didn't carry me down. I'm boiling. The woman was like, by the way, I see a heartbeat. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't doctor no brother said they had me go and so that we can cleanse the rest. The area for cleansing the rest. We didn't go to the scan and look just to say it's a heartbeat. Timmy trust you, I'm going to pipe you soon. Or say, by the way, we see a heart. And I'm pregnant. The different I'm saying, I'm proud of bar.
Amen.
Just a good name, they didn't friend.
Yeah.
But like a so
yeah.
Like a so it's a cover free trigger.
Yeah.
Even though I'm here shy on me and saying, if you mention to Obisa will become one, me personally, it triggers me. It triggers me because meaning the Mako, meaning do be echo, meaning do be Nyako. It's for me a blessing. Timbesa the way we should talk. Yeah. Make us I'm shaking. I'm shaking because it takes me back. We see the kind of homework of Job.
Yes.
When I go to the part, God said, when I was creating the world, where were you? When I was forming the foundation of the world, where were you? Then I stopped. And I'm saying, can't be for now.
Yeah.
Now, me answer my question. Now, me, twin pregnancy, second one, third one, and you are here telling me, said, and on one, for become, I didn't know about sorry. It sounds so loose. Until it can testify. Why my wife have to push a baby 5 months old, already dead, already dead, pushed out. I'm not holding the baby like this until it's here. So, then you are going to tell me this same person now, we will lose our program, what the 5 months? Your mommy ashes, the whole country, we really believe you know where to dump it. Because the image was hunting us. Then I'm carrying a driver, by heart. Later I said, no, let's dump it. Because the more we keep the ashes, the more I'm going on and on.
No,
because it's something that is very, very important to me.
My brother, let me tell you this. Everywhere I have presented is the Spirit of the Lord that causes people to share their problems. That is going to make somebody's life better from here. So it is not, what you're saying is not just for yourself. It's for somebody here listening online. It's for somebody here who's going through a lot. And I can tell you, as I maybe because of my job, I've met so many people. I'm dealing with my own siblings. And in your mind, you have to go through. Listen, we've heard it. I wish, you finish. I'll talk about what we say.
Any control. Like I said, from beginning, I was say anything that will trigger you. Any control. But in this particular instance here, technically, you will be of control.
Yes.
There can be a so because now make grandma can be make grandma na makomo no. It can be. It's a normalized, like you were saying in the presentation. They are normalizing even though I tend to forget myself.
Yes.
Sometimes on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
I'm assuming can be. How do we conscientize ourselves? Say, hey, and no matter what is in life, and sensitive.
Yes.
Obi catch a while said, wow, now name you say who to put you to social media. I'm like, you don't know.
Yeah.
So when they come before, and you will never say the words that are found to social media. You understand?
Yeah.
But saying names, I know money now. Everybody are very conscious. No, you are men. Because I tell you, say, Kufia, when I'm a go, and then you know, you should be going to say, you can't tell me. For people, if you vent,
yes, yeah,
I'm like that.
Yeah.
If I give it to you, I go home and sleep. Someone asleep. Or no, this
yeah.
And I'm funny enough, they will tell her.
Yes.
And she will bear the brand, and she will Kufia. I have to do 2 works. Console her, console myself.
Yeah.
The moment when I double, because of service, will be lame, useless remark. Maybe man double. And to maybe console you, then I will go and hide somewhere. See, baby, I'm a man who's no corner. So that many emotions will be. Now, all my bread, my mom, you double work. Basically, a cost. And it can, and on one, I don't know what we can do.
Yeah, so.
It is a massive. It's because of question.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for sharing. Mama, tell me, catch us here about the point and son about.
Now say I'm not sick, so I'm not taking medication.
Yeah. Yes. So let me start with the first one. That is why we must be intentional about mental health. You cannot do it anyhow. I, for one, I like teasing. I used to like teasing. Let me put it this way. I like teasing. I'm very playful. Okay? But I realize that some of my utterances causes harm and hurt. Actually, before I started this talk, I should have given people the heads up that if you get uncomfortable, so thanks for reminding me. What I'm saying, and it's so close to you, please take a walk to come back. But there's no resource out there. There's no resource out there. So it's good if you stay here. But listen, we have to be conscious. It is not just what we say, it is what we do not say. I was speaking with a friend who was telling me who has got kids in the church, and her kid has got mental disorders. Because of the kid's situation, the church, when parents who have younger kids about the age of their kids have parties, they don't invite their kid. This is in God's house. Please let us be conscious. That is why I highlighted relationships. It's important. It's key. Look at the blue zones we have in the world. Loma Linda is one of the blue zones. So is Sicily or somewhere in Italy. They drink wine. They eat cheese. It is not what we eat that kills us. So it's not only what we eat that kills us. It is what eats us. So if it was just vegetarianism that kills, and we follow the CHIP program, why do Adventists die young? Why do Adventists get cancer? It is more than what we eat. Let us season let every word that comes out of your mouth be a word that edifies. Think about it, and not just 70 or I say 80% of what we actually say is not the words that come out of our mouths. It's what we do not say and how we say, even how to say, are non-verbal cues. I can sit here and see those who are here tuned out, those who are here waiting to pick a fight, those who are here who are, people would, please, are non-verbals. Now let's talk about what Auntie was asking. What about people here who are not interested? We'll come back. Okay, so what about people who do not believe they have mental illness and do not seek help? One of the most difficult things about mental health is those who have mental health do not believe there's something wrong with them. Yeah, that is the nature of the mental illness. So you have a family member, he's drunk, he cannot even see the stairs, he says, I'm not drunk, I'm steady. We will talk about it later. But that is why you have to approach them differently. If you have understanding, there are two things, empathy and sympathy. Empathy and sympathy. There is a research done in Thailand by WHO to look at 5 modalities of healthcare: Western medicine, traditional medicine, all these things, quackery. No medicine, no medication, just quackery. There was no difference in Thailand. There was no difference in the outcomes. Do you know what the final thing? If you practice empathy and sympathy, you always get the results. Empathy and sympathy. You can come here and fool around. Won't go school that. You can come and do this presentation. No facts, nothing. You have empathy. You care about people. You heal. Why do people drink what? My wife was sharing with me last month. My wife was sharing with me. He lived with his grandmom or so when she was growing up. She used to give people placebo injection, saline injection for their pain, and they will be okay. They will come sick, vomiting. Give them saline injection. They will be okay. Until she gives them injection, they will never be okay. Empathy and sympathy will make somebody want to talk to you about their mental. But listen, your testimony or sharing with us, I'm sure we'll speak to somebody now. Let's say a quick prayer before we go. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you this moment for the period of fellowship. Lord, I'm sure there's somebody here who's going through, or somebody here who knows somebody who's going through a lot. May you, Lord, grant us the words to use. May you grant us the sympathy and empathy to help somebody. May you, Lord, enlighten us to take care of our mental health. In Jesus' name have I prayed with thanksgiving. Amen.
Empire me, send me the masita, the man, oh, need oh, Empire me, send me the mesumpa, the mo, ni pamba. Empire me da, oh, no, 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 no. Empire me, send me the mesumpa, the mo, ni pamba. Ebrena so, ebera so say yes some body ye. Adwene yakoma abosom yo. Kupon akasankasa. Kana mai, emera so say yes some body ye. Adwene yakoma abosom yo. Yes some kupon akasankasa. Hom, na yesum. Oh, Yahweh. Yahweh yakutu Yesu Adomankoma na Yesu oh Yahweh sorry oda Adomankoma Adomankoma Yefefe o Adomankoma Yefefe o Adomankoma Yakwe, Odomankoma, Odomankoma, Yefefe o, Odomankoma, Yefefe o, Odomankoma,